Chapter 465. Rong Yuashan decided to hide in the Rong manor and not act rashly. However, she continued to disguise herself as a beggar or a peddler, patrolling the vicinity of the Yun manor and the Slaughtering King's manor, waiting for Yun Ruoyan's group to leave so that she could make another move on Li Yan. Li Mo dispatched a large number of guards to reinforce the Slaughtering King's manor's security, as well as a number of people to search for Rong Yuashan's whereabouts within the capital. However, Rong Yuashan was too cunning. After many years of cultivation and the guidance of the Silver Dragon Elder, she had already become a 9th-rank blade master. The Slaughtering King's Mo Wei was no match for her, and she was able to easily evade his detection. Patriarch Demonic Dragon, Yun Ruoyan, Yun Ma Xiao, and the others were all preparing for their next breakthrough into seclusion. As long as Li Yan was safe, they didn't have time to worry about Rong Yuashan. Although the demon dragon ancestors said that Rong Yuashan would lose a layer of skin even if she didn't die this time, she wouldn't be able to cause any big waves at the moment. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. What if the Silver Dragon Elder gave Rong Yuashan the holy water? After all, Yun Ruoyan had personally witnessed the miraculous effects of the holy water. It was a miraculous medicine that could bring the dead back to life. Once Rong Yuashan obtained the holy water, no matter how severe her injuries were, as long as she was still breathing, she would be able to recover in no time. As a result, when the demonic dragon ancestor suggested that she go into seclusion at Kongming Academy, Yun Ruoyan refused. Instead, she requested that she remain in the Slaughtering King's manor. While Yun Ruoyan was in seclusion, Li Mo had to be by her side to protect the elder. If both of them were to leave, Yun Ruoyan wouldn't be able to rest easy. If he could cultivate in the Slaughtering King's manor, it would be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Although the Slaughtering King's manor couldn't compare to Kongming Academy, it had the densest concentration of spiritual energy in the capital. It was barely enough to support his breakthrough technique. Little girl, you'll be heading to the extreme abyss continent soon. If you're so worried about little Li Yan, what should we do? Elder Demon Dragon said worriedly. Senior, could you bring Li Mo to the extreme abyss continent as well? This question was asked by Yun Ma Xiao. He had never been to the other world, so he didn't know the specifics. You can't, brother, Yun Ruoyan interjected before the demonic dragon ancestor could respond. Why? Not to mention how dangerous the extreme abyss continent is, just the spatial turbulence that leads there isn't something a child can handle. Yun Ruoyan explained. In that case, there's only one way to reassure the little girl and Li Mo. Ancestor Demonic Dragon said. What is it? Yun Ruoyan and Yun Ma Xiao asked simultaneously. Soul collecting art. If Rong Yuashan really isn't dead, and if she's still on the Qinyuan continent, we can use the soul collecting technique to retrieve her. Old man, if you had such a good idea, why didn't you use it earlier? Yun Ruoyan was exasperated. Old Ancestor Demon Dragon was speechless. The soul collecting technique was very taxing on his mind. He was already at the end of his lifespan, and in order to destroy the heaven-flipping mirror, he had sacrificed a lot of his lifespan. If he wasted any more of his mind, he would immediately die. What kind of temper does this little girl have? The elder pretended to be serious. I have my reasons for not telling you. After all, I'll be sure to retrieve Rong Yuashan's whereabouts once you break through. Ruoyan, Senior, the most important thing for us to do right now is to start cultivating in seclusion, Yun Ma Xiao said. The two of them seemed to quarrel as soon as they were together. Yun Ma Xiao was quite shameless, but Li Mo had long since gotten used to it. Yun Ruoyan felt that her tone had been inappropriate, so she didn't say another word. The 3 of them immediately began cultivating in seclusion. There was a basement in the Slaughtering King's manor that Li Mo had specifically used for cultivation, and the 3 of them began cultivating in seclusion. Li Mo stood guard by the side, while Su Nan stood guard outside. Elder Mo Long used his spiritual flame to draw a breakthrough formation about the same size as the basement, and set up 2 eyes in the middle of the formation, one for Yun Ruoyan and one for Yun Ma Xiao. The 2 of them took their positions, and the elders sat cross-legged on the Phalai blade, floating above the formation between the 2 of them. Breaking through is nothing more than gathering a large amount of spiritual energy to expand one's meridians and spiritual vortex. Every time one advances in cultivation, their meridians become more resilient, so each breakthrough will be several times more difficult than the last, and the amount of spiritual energy required will also be several times greater. The elder continued to make a series of hand seals. I'm going to use this breakthrough formation to infuse my spiritual energy into your bodies. You'll have to focus on absorbing it, then break through in one go. Don't get distracted. The demonic dragon patriarch kept changing his hand seals, and each stroke of flame in the array was like a meridian connecting his body to Yun Ruoyan and Yun Ma Xiao's. Large amounts of spiritual energy flowed from the elder's spiritual vortex into their bodies. Naturally, the 2 of them didn't dare to slack off in the slightest. They focused on absorbing and refining the spiritual energy, not daring to waste a single drop. Liu Mo sat in a corner, his gaze mostly on Yun Ruoyan and Yun Ma Xiao. Absorbing spiritual energy from someone else had a certain degree of risk. If the absorbed spiritual energy was out of control, or if there was too much of it, and the person absorbing it couldn't digest it, there was a chance that they would go berserk. Li Mo's mission was to help them clear the spiritual energy in their meridians as soon as they showed any signs of going berserk, so that they could continue their breakthrough. Yun Ruoyan's constitution was unique. Even if her meridians were overburdened by spiritual energy, she would be able to repair them quickly. As a result, she was able to absorb and refine spiritual energy quickly and fiercely. 70 to 80% of the spiritual energy that the elder had released had been absorbed by her. Although Yun Ma Xiao had only absorbed 20 to 30%, he still showed signs of going berserk after 2 days and 1 night. When Li Mo saw his face suddenly turn red and pale, he hurriedly stepped forward and used his own spiritual energy to guide and unblock Li Mo's meridians. At the same time, he absorbed the spiritual energy from the demonic dragon ancestor into his own body. Only then did he manage to resolve the crisis. Yun Ruoyan, on the other hand, was incredibly successful. On the 3rd day of her seclusion, she successfully broke through the bottleneck of peak 9th rank and became a sword saint. At that moment, Yun Ruoyan felt her primordial spirit fly out of her body and look down at Yun Ma Xiao and Li Mo. Although the feeling was brief, it was a wondrous one. As her primordial spirit floated in midair, it inadvertently glanced at the demonic dragon ancestor, who seemed to be smiling at her. When her primordial spirit returned to her body, 2 voices rang out in her mind. One was the demonic dragon ancestor's, and the other was Qiuqiu's. Congratulations on your breakthrough, mistress. Congratulations on your breakthrough, lass. Yun Ruoyan ignored the demonic dragon ancestor's words and turned to Qiuqiu excitedly. Qiuqiu, you're finally out of seclusion. Yes, mistress, the day of your breakthrough is the day of my seclusion. Qiuqiu was equally excited. In that case, can you break through the bracelet seal now? Logically speaking, I can, but I'll need your help, mistress. Alright, what do you want me to do? I'll help you right now, Yun Ruoyan immediately replied. No. The demonic dragon ancestor hurriedly interrupted their conversation. Lass, based on your current situation, your potential is far beyond the early stages of a sword saint. If you keep working hard, there's a good chance that you'll break through again. Both Yun Ruoyan and Qiuqiu were taken aback. Yun Ruoyan was just about to stop absorbing spiritual energy. She had thought that breaking through to the peak of a sword saint was her limit, but she hadn't expected that she could break through again. Mistress, then you should focus on cultivating. The higher your cultivation, the more help you'll be in breaking through the bracelet seal. Yun Ruoyan didn't think too much about it. She immediately entered a meditative state. After another 3 days and 3 nights of cultivation, Yun Ma Xiao had already broken through to 9th rank. That was his current limit. Now that Yun Ruoyan was the only one left in the formation, she could feel the spiritual energy in her meridians reaching an incomparably abundant state. Yun Ruoyan was extremely familiar with this state, she had experienced it just 3 days ago, and she was already mentally prepared to break through again. Yun Ma Xiao and Li Mo were sitting together, their gazes focused on Yun Ruoyan. The two of them watched as a thin layer of red spiritual energy formed around Yun Ruoyan's body. The red spiritual energy grew thicker and thicker, and in the end, tiny flames began to silently explode from it, like little red flowers that had bloomed and then withered. It was quite a sight to behold. Li Mo, what's going on with Ruoyan? Yun Ma Xiao asked Li Mo. He had never seen anything like this before, and he was both curious and worried. Ruoyan's about to break through to 2nd rank. Li Mo's eyes and mouth were full of smiles. You're saying that Ruoyan's about to break through to 2nd rank? Yun Ma Xiao repeated Li Mo's words in disbelief. It was no wonder that he was so shocked. Being able to break through to 2nd rank was already a top-notch existence on the Qinyuan continent, let alone 2nd rank. Just a few days ago, she'd been a peak 9th rank blade master, but in just a few short days, she'd broken through to become a 2nd rank sword saint. Such a frightening rate of improvement was unprecedented on the Qinyuan continent. By the time Yun Ma Xiao had finally digested this fact and was so happy that he couldn't control himself, Yun Ruoyan had finally completed the last step of breaking through to 2nd level. The fire-attuned spiritual energy that had seeped out of her body was absorbed into her spiritual vortex. As Yun Ruoyan looked at the fire-attuned spiritual energy in her dantian, she couldn't help but sigh. When she had begun cultivating again after her rebirth, her spiritual vortex had been like a small river that was about to dry up, and that small river had finally become the vast ocean it was today. You still haven't reached the peak, and there's still a lot of room for improvement. Just as Yun Ruoyan was feeling incredibly good, the demonic dragon ancestor's voice echoed throughout her spiritual vortex. Chapter 466. Yun Ruoyan naturally knew that she was still a long way from reaching the peak. Li Mo had once told her that there were 9 ranks of peak blade masters. Now that she had broken through to the 2nd rank, there were 7 more to go. What does the peak of cultivation look like? Yun Ruoyan asked. No one knows, because as far as I know, no one has ever reached the peak of cultivation. Is it possible that no one on the extreme abyss continent has ever reached the peak of cultivation? Yun Ruoyan pressed. There are legends, but I've never seen it with my own eyes. 10,000 years ago, before I passed away, I was a peak 8th rank blade master, a peak level blade master. I thought that I would be able to break through to peak 9th rank, but unfortunately, I fell for the Silver Dragon Elder's tricks and wasted all my efforts. Yun Ruoyan could understand the elder's grief and indignation at having lost 10,000 years of cultivation. How high was the Silver Dragon Elder's cultivation? I don't think he could even defeat your primordial spirit, Yun Ruoyan replied. 10,000 years ago, he had just become an elder of the Silver Dragon clan, and his cultivation had only just broken through to 5th rank. However, the last time I fought him, I discovered that he was only a 7th rank blade master. It's clear that, for the past 10,000 years, he's been so focused on refining the holy water that he's neglected his cultivation. What a joke, the elder laughed coldly. 7th rank blade master, Yun Ruoyan mused. Li Mo's cultivation is the highest among the 3 of us, but he's only a 3rd rank blade master. I've only just reached 2nd rank, and my brother hasn't even reached that level yet. Even if the 3 of us work together, we wouldn't be a match for the Silver Dragon Elder. That's why you can't fight him head-on as soon as you enter the extreme abyss continent, or you'll die. However, given your abilities, it's not impossible for the 3 of you to hide on the continent and find opportunities to approach the Silver Dragon Elder. And don't forget Cho-Cho. Once it breaks through the bracelet seal, the one with the highest cultivation among the three of you won't be Li Mo, but Chocho. Yes, master, don't forget about Chocho, Chocho said hurriedly. Alright, as long as we work together, we'll definitely be able to kill the silver dragon elder, obtain the holy water, and save my mother. Yun Ruoyan encouraged herself as much as she could. Li Mo and Yun Maxiao saw that the formation had dimmed, but Yun Ruoyan was still sitting cross-legged like a boulder. They didn't know what was going on and didn't dare disturb her, but when they heard Yun Ruoyan's bold declaration, they couldn't help but laugh. This was especially true of Yun Maxiao. His laughter reverberated throughout the chamber, even reaching the outside. Su Nan couldn't help but open the stone door and poke his head in to see what was going on. When he saw his master, his consort, and General Yun all beaming with joy, he knew that his seclusion this time was a success. He immediately went out to inform Li Luo that he was safe. Over the past 10 days, Li Luo had come to check on him 4 or 5 times a day. As soon as Su Nan walked out, he bumped into her. They're out of seclusion, Su Nan said to Li Luo. Without another word, Li Luo stuffed the lunchbox into Su Nan's hands and entered the outer chamber of the chamber. Even before she entered, she could hear the sounds of laughter coming from within, Yun Maxiao's voice the loudest of all. Li Luo's heart, which had been restless for the past 10 days, finally calmed down. Sister, you're really amazing. You actually managed to break through to second-level Blade Master in one go. As your older brother, I can't even begin to compare. Yun Maxiao laughed. By now, Yun Ruoyan had completely woken up from her cultivation. She and Li Mo were holding hands, basking in the joy of breaking through together. Brother, you don't have to be so humble, Yun Ruoyan smiled. Yun Ruoyan smiled. On the Qinyuan continent, a 9th-rank Blade Master is already considered an expert. In front of you and Li Mo, my cultivation is child's play. I just hope that I won't be a burden to you and Li Mo. Yun Maxiao's voice was a little dejected as he spoke. He had always wanted to protect Yun Ruoyan, to give her something to rely on, but he always found that she didn't need his protection at all. Whether it was in the past or now, Yun Maxiao was naturally happy for her, but he couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Brother, don't be discouraged, Yun Ruoyan began. When Li Mo and I first met, he was only a peak 9th-rank Blade Master, and he only broke through to become a Sword Saint when we were about to enter the alternate dimension. It's only in the past 2 years that his cultivation has increased by leaps and bounds. This time, we're going to have to get some spiritual pills that will help you break through as soon as possible. I've heard that once you break through, your lifespan will increase. Is that true? Yun Maxiao asked. There weren't any Sword Saints on the Qinyuan continent, and even if there were, they were old monsters who lived in seclusion. As a result, most people had only heard of them in legends. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo glanced at each other. Neither of them had paid much attention to this point, so they both turned to the demonic dragon ancestor. After becoming a 9th-rank Blade Master, one's lifespan will increase. If one's cultivation doesn't advance further, one's lifespan will be around 150 years, the demonic dragon ancestor explained. Once you break through, your lifespan will immediately double, and so on and so forth. Every time you break through, your lifespan will double again. In other words, I've reached 150 years of lifespan. That's right, the demonic dragon elder confirmed. In my opinion, although your potential isn't as great as your sister's or Li Mo's, breaking through to become a Sword Saint shouldn't be a problem. Yun Maxiao muttered to himself, if that's the case, I'll have to get more spiritual pills for Li Luo's cultivation. If he broke through to become a Sword Saint, his lifespan would be 300 years. Li Luo was only an 8th-rank cultivator, so her lifespan would only be around 100 years. Yun Maxiao decided that he would leave the spiritual pills he obtained on this trip for Li Luo. Standing outside the stone door, Li Luo could hear their conversation. Afraid that she would disturb them, she waited outside. When she heard Yun Ma Xiao's muttering, she couldn't help but feel touched. When they walked out of the secret chamber, they saw Su Nan and Li Luo standing guard at the door. Li Luo's eyes were a little red, and it was clear that she had just been crying. Yun Ma Xiao took her hand, his heart aching for her. "Aren't I fine? Why are you crying?" Li Luo raised her head to look at Yun Ma Xiao's handsome face. Thinking of his words and his deep feelings for her, coupled with the fact that she was about to leave him, her nose turned sour, and tears started flowing again. Li Luo wasn't a girl who liked to cry, but at this moment, she couldn't help it. Love could soften a person's heart. This was as true for Yun Ruoyan as it was for Li Luo. Why are you crying again? How can I leave with peace of mind if you cry like this?" Wiping away Li Luo's tears, Yun Ma Xiao coaxed, "How about I stay home and keep you company instead of going to the extreme abyss continent? What do you say?" Li Luo paused for a moment before realizing that Yun Ma Xiao was just teasing her. "All right, stop talking nonsense. You're all hungry, right? I'll go make dinner for you." The group looked at each other. Other than Su Nan and Li Luo herself, everyone else present had already abstained from eating, and no longer knew what it felt like to be hungry. "Sure," Yun Ruoyan exclaimed. "Sister Li Luo's culinary skills are excellent, especially when it comes to light dishes. My brother is a man blessed with good food." After finishing Li Luo's dinner and resting for the night, they immediately began their next mission. Yun Ruoyan once again went into seclusion to help Chichio break the silver bracelet seal, while Yun Ma Xiao prepared to return to the barracks to make arrangements for his departure. The demonic dragon patriarch remained in the basement alone, using a soul-gathering technique to search for Rong Yuashan. Li Mo remained by Yun Ruoyan's side, watching over her. During this period of time, Rong Yuashan had fallen into a state of confusion. Usually, when she was hiding in the vicinity of the Slaughtering King's Manor and the Yun Manor, she would occasionally see Yun Ruoyan, Yun Ma Xiao, and the others. However, in the past 10 days, Yun Ruoyan and the others seemed to have disappeared. Rong Yuashan even went to the Lin Manor to wait, but she still couldn't find any trace of them. Could it be that Yun Ruoyan and the others had already left, and that they hadn't made a big fuss in order to lull her into a false sense of security? If that was the case, she could begin her mission again. During this period of time, her portrait had been plastered all over the city, and the MO guards had been searching for her everywhere. Although she always managed to escape, she'd had enough of her days as a street rat. The Silver Dragon Elder had promised that, as long as Rong Yuashan could get her hands on Li Yan, he would send the two of them to the extreme abyss continent. Then, she could go to the extreme abyss continent to seek revenge on Yun Ruoyan. With Li Yan and the Silver Dragon Elder's help, she wouldn't have to worry about not being able to kill Yun Ruoyan. With this in mind, Rong Yuashan immediately used the talisman that the Silver Dragon Elder had given her to contact the Silver Dragon Elder. "Are you certain that they've arrived on the extreme abyss continent?" "Elder, I've been keeping an eye on Yun Ruoyan and the others, but it's as if they've evaporated into thin air. Other than sneaking to the extreme abyss continent, I don't know where else they could have gone. They're very cunning, and they must have been afraid that I'd inform the Elder in advance. If that's really the case, they're probably already on the extreme abyss continent." Rong Yuashan felt that her analysis was very reasonable, and she looked at the Silver Dragon Elder eagerly. The Silver Dragon Elder smiled. "Without the protection of the demonic dragon ancestor, these children aren't a threat to me at all. It's just that the sky-turning mirror has been destroyed, and it'll be a little troublesome to deal with the divine mirror in their possession. However, the most important thing right now is to get my hands on Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's child. Do you understand? There can't be any mistakes." "Yes, I understand," Rong Yuashan replied. At the same time, in the basement of the Slaughtering King's Manor. Inside the soul-gathering array, the demonic dragon ancestor slowly opened his eyes. As he used the soul-gathering technique, he could clearly see everything that was happening. Not only was Rong Yuashan lucky, but she was also a person who wouldn't rest until she was dead. In order to ensure Li Yan's safety, as well as to assure Yun Ruoyan's safety, he had to get rid of her at all costs. Chapter 467. Within the pocket dimension, Qiuqiu was doing its best to break through the seal. It floated in the air like a human with its legs crossed. Below it was a dazzling array formation, and its body was surrounded by something like a shield of light. This was the barrier that had been binding Qiuqiu all this time. Its existence suppressed Qiuqiu's strength, and at the same time prevented it from leaving the pocket dimension. Yun Ruoyan had also entered the pocket dimension. Qiuqiu's about to break through the seal, Qiuqiu said, opening its eyes. Mistress, lend me a hand. As it spoke, Qiuqiu shot up into the void above the pocket dimension. There didn't seem to be anything in the void, but to Qiuqiu, it was like a cage. Before Qiuqiu could rise more than 100 feet, it was blocked by an invisible force. Yun Ruoyan followed suit, easily reaching a height of 100 feet. The invisible force blocking Qiuqiu's path was practically non-existent to Yun Ruoyan. She floated by Qiuqiu's side, her hands forming the hand seals that Qiuqiu had taught her. Qiuqiu had said that it had spent hundreds of years figuring out this hand seal, and that it could help it break through the seal. This hand seal could only be used by those who were at least a peak blade master. Beyond that, the higher one's cultivation, the more powerful the seal would be. Qiuqiu was using its tiny claws to form the same hand seal as Yun Ruoyan. Yun Ruoyan and Qiuqiu stared at each other. Their long years of tacit understanding meant that they didn't need to say anything to know what the other was thinking. The two of them struck the same spot at the same time. In an instant, a dazzling white crack appeared where the seal struck. Yun Ruoyan and Qiuqiu continued to use the spiritual energy in their spiritual vortices as much as they could. Under their immense spiritual energy, the tiny, dazzling cracks grew larger and larger. Finally, they shattered soundlessly, leaving behind a door-shaped hole. Blinding white light poured out from the door-shaped hole. Yun Ruoyan's eyes stung, and she had no choice but to close them. As soon as she closed her eyes, she heard Qiuqiu's excited voice. I'm free, Qiuqiu is free. Ha, mistress, I'm free. Qiuqiu's voice rang out. It was accompanied by a deafening roar of a beast. Roar! This bestial roar had the power to shake the earth and mountains. Clearly, Qiuqiu had broken through the seal and regained its former strength. When the white light disappeared, Yun Ruoyan opened her eyes. She was still in the pocket dimension, but Qiuqiu was no longer by her side. Mistress, I'm out of the bracelet's pocket dimension, a low voice suddenly rang out in Yun Ruoyan's mind. It was only after a while that Yun Ruoyan realized that the voice belonged to Qiuqiu. With a thought, she walked out of the pocket dimension. Liamo was smiling at her, and by his side, a large spiritual beast was staring at her with its large, bell-like eyes. The spirit beast's entire body was fiery red, and there was a flaming bolt of lightning on its forehead. Two snow-white fangs protruded from the corners of its mouth, making it look quite ferocious. Qiuqiu's appearance reminded Yun Ruoyan of the drawings and sculptures of the fire Qilin that she had read in books and seen in the palace. Qiuqiu's true form was that of a fire Qilin. Qiu, Qiu, Yun Ruoyan called out to the beast. The beast walked toward Yun Ruoyan and stopped in front of her. Yun Ruoyan only reached the tip of its nose. Mistress. Qiuqiu's deep, resonant voice came from its mouth, and its warm breath landed on Yun Ruoyan's face. Yun Ruoyan reached out and stroked its head. Suddenly, she laughed. Qiuqiu, I didn't expect your true form to be so impressive. Yun Ruoyan recalled how Qiuqiu had looked in the past. It was round, like a ball, and the difference between now and then was that of a grandfather and a grandson. Qiuqiu could see the meaning behind Yun Ruoyan's smile and couldn't help but roll its eyes. In the blink of an eye, its large body transformed back into its original form. Yun Ruoyan paused. So you can change back to your original form. That's great. I was worried that your previous form would be too eye-catching, and that I wouldn't be able to bring you to the extreme abyss continent. I have 2 forms now, Chocho replied. That was my battle form. Usually, I keep this small form, so that it's easier for me to move around. That's great. Yun Ruoyan crouched down, just as she had in the pocket dimension, and stretched out her arms toward Chocho. Chocho leaped into Yun Ruoyan's embrace, and the 2 of them began to play together. Chocho was so excited that it kept rubbing its nose against Yun Ruoyan's face to express its excitement. Yun Ruoyan couldn't stop giggling as she was tickled. Li Mo's face darkened, however, because Chocho was male. Li Mo stepped forward without a sound, reached out, and pulled Chocho out of Yun Ruoyan's arms. Hey! Li Mo, what are you doing? Chocho cried out. Nothing, I just haven't been intimate with you in a long time. Li Mo hugged Chocho tightly in his arms. Old friend, let's get to know each other as well. Now that Chocho had broken through its seal, not only could it maintain its small form, but it could also enter the pocket dimension and the pocket dimension. As a result, bringing Chocho to the extreme abyss continent wasn't a problem at all. Yun Ma Xiao and Li Luo rested for a night at the Slaughtering King's manor. Just as they were about to leave, they suddenly received a message from the demonic dragon patriarch, telling them not to leave the manor for the time being, because Rong Yuashan was currently hiding outside the manor's gates. At the same time, Yun Ruoyan also received the same message. The group immediately gathered in the basement, where the demonic dragon patriarch was executing his soul-collecting technique. The few of them stood in front of the soul-collecting spell formation, watching the image on it. The image was of a corner outside the Slaughtering King's manor. An old beggar woman was squatting there, dressed in rags, and her white, withered hair completely obscured her face. That's Rong Yuashan, the demonic dragon patriarch began. If not for the patriarch's words, Yun Ruoyan wouldn't have associated the woman with Rong Yuashan, even if she saw her. Just as Yun Ruoyan was staring at the old woman in the image, she suddenly raised her head, revealing a pair of eyes that were filled with malice. The silver dragon patriarch sure was generous enough to give Rong Yuashan some holy water, Yun Ruoyan commented. But since she's delivered herself to our doorstep, it saved us a lot of trouble. With Yun Ruoyan's current cultivation, killing Rong Yuashan would be a piece of cake. This time, we have to kill her in one strike. If we let her escape again, we won't have time to chase after her, the demonic dragon patriarch began. The silver dragon patriarch gave Rong Yuashan a death order. As soon as we leave, he'll make a move on Lian. We've been in seclusion these past few days, and Rong Yuashan mistakenly believes that we've gone to the extreme abyss continent. So, Senior, what do you mean? The demonic dragon patriarch looked at the image. She's already been waiting outside for more than 10 days, and if nothing unexpected happens, she'll make her move in the next few days. All we have to do is wait for her to walk right into our trap, and we'll be able to catch her like a turtle in a jar. In order to lure Rong Yuashan into action as soon as possible, in the afternoon, after careful consideration, they had a maidservant carry Lian to the Yun Manor. Along the way, they were protected by a large number of guards, and Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo were hidden nearby. If Rong Yuashan made a move, the 2 of them would kill her on the spot. Unlike Yun Ruoyan, Rong Yuashan didn't make a move. Unlike Yun Ruoyan, she preferred to act with a plan. In a situation like this, she instinctively chose not to make a move. Rong Yuashan followed behind the carriage. As she watched the maidservant carry Lian into the Lin Manor, she was even more certain that Yun Ruoyan and the others had already left. Otherwise, she wouldn't have allowed a maidservant to carry Lian out alone. As a result, she decided that there was no time to lose. Night quickly fell, and the Slaughtering King's manor was silent. Suddenly, a black shadow appeared by the lotus pond. Just like the last time, Rong Yuashan sprinkled a packet of water into the pond. After that, his figure appeared beside the nearby ink guards like a ghost, and he silently killed them one by one with swift and ferocious movements. After doing all this, she quickly entered the room where Li Yan was resting. In the room, the maidservant was sleeping on a soft couch, and Li Yan's bed was placed right in front of her. Rong Yuashan grabbed the small figure on the bed. Just at this moment, something on the bed suddenly jumped up and pounced towards Rong Yuashan. Rong Yuashan could clearly see that the thing had two large, bright eyes and a mouth full of sharp teeth. Rong Yuashan's reaction wasn't slow. She instantly took out a spiritual sword and stabbed it at Qiu. Qiu opened its mouth and bit off half of the spiritual sword, crunching and crunching. Rong Yuashan was shocked. She knew that the thing in front of her was a spiritual beast, but she had never seen such a powerful one. Rong Yuashan knew that she wasn't a match for this spiritual beast, and she turned to escape. Just as she reached the corridor, a large, white figure rushed out of the lotus pond and looked at Rong Yuashan with its large, bell-like eyes. Rong Yuashan, today, this is an impenetrable fortress, the place where you will die. Rong Ruoyan walked out of the room with Li Yan in her arms, and Qiu walked out of the room it had just been in. Liamo, the demonic dragon ancestor, and Yun Ma Xiao appeared in different directions, surrounding Rong Yuashan with the white tiger, Yun Ruoyan, and Qiu. With the exception of Yun Ma Xiao, everyone else present could easily kill Rong Yuashan, and there was no chance that she would survive this ordeal. You didn't go to the extreme abyss continent? Rong Yuashan asked. You've been hiding all these days just to lure me here. Rong Yuashan, you think too highly of yourself, Yun Ruoyan remarked. Didn't you intentionally hide to lure me? Of course not, Yun Ruoyan continued. We have more important things to do, but since you're so eager to die, we'll naturally fulfill your wish. Rong Yuashan, you should have died a long time ago. Today, I'll avenge those who died on the abyssal continent. Chapter 468. As Yun Ruoyan spoke, she hugged Li Yan with one hand and shot a dazzling fireball at Rong Yuashan with the other. This fireball was much smaller than the one she released before she broke through to the Great Perfection realm, but its power and speed were many times faster than the one she released before she broke through the Great Perfection realm. Before Rong Yuashan could dodge, the fireball was right in front of her. Before she could even react, it had set her body on fire. Ah! Rong Yuashan cried out in pain. Seeing that she would soon be reduced to ashes, she turned to Yun Ruoyan and said viciously, Yun Ruoyan, even if I die, I'll drag you and your son down with me. As soon as she finished speaking, she mustered all the spiritual energy she could muster and shot toward Yun Ruoyan like a streak of light. She's going to detonate her spiritual vortex. The demonic dragon patriarch shouted. Detonating one's spiritual vortex would produce a tremendous amount of destructive power. Liamo, Yun Ma Xiao, and the demonic dragon patriarch rushed forward to help her, but before they could do anything, they heard a loud explosion, followed by a blinding light. After the light disappeared, the first thing they saw was Qiu's enormous figure. Humph! You want to perish together with my master with this little bit of cultivation? You're not worthy. Qiu snorted coldly, then shook its fiery red fur and appeared behind Yun Ruoyan. Liamo, who was in her arms, had also been woken up by the sound of the explosion, and he was currently nibbling on Yun Ruoyan's hand. Seeing that the mother and son were safe and sound, the few of them smiled. Liamo, in particular, relaxed his furrowed brows. Thank goodness. We've finally killed Rong Yuashan. You can finally head to the extreme abyss continent in peace, ha ha ha. The demonic dragon patriarch let out a long sigh, then suddenly burst into laughter. Everyone's attention had been focused on Yun Ruoyan and Li Yan, but when the elder laughed, they couldn't help but turn to him. What they saw shocked them. This was because Elder Mo Long's primordial spirit was only left with a thin layer at the moment. It was like a thin fog on a cloudy day that would dissipate at any time. "Senior, what's wrong?" Yun Ma Xiao, who was standing next to the demonic dragon ancestor, asked. "It's nothing. It's just that this old man's time has come." The demon dragon ancestor's tone was flat, as if he was talking about something that had nothing to do with him. Yun Ruoyan shoved Li Yan into Li Mo's arms and quickly walked up to the demonic dragon patriarch. She raised her hand, intending to inject spiritual energy into his primordial spirit. The demon dragon ancestor hurriedly stopped her. "It's useless," he said. "My time is up. Don't waste it pointlessly. Didn't you say that there's still nearly a year before your death?" Yun Ruoyan's voice was muffled. She had hated the demon dragon ancestor ever since he began threatening her, but she didn't hate him so much that she wanted him dead. Moreover, everything the demon dragon ancestor had done for her and Li Yan later on, although he had his own motives, Yun Ruoyan was still grateful to him. She had been hoping to bring back some holy water from the extreme abyss continent to prolong the demon dragon ancestor's life, but she hadn't expected him to die so soon. "If I don't do anything and drag it out one day at a time, I can drag it out to a year later," the demon dragon ancestor replied. "So you're doing this for us?" "No, no, no." The demon dragon ancestor hurriedly waved his hands. "I'm doing this for myself, for the sake of the demon dragon clan, and for the sake of the two of you. Besides, what's the point of dragging on like this? What's the point? I'm fine as it is now. I've done everything I could, and now that I'm gone, I'll leave the rest to you." As the demon dragon ancestor spoke, the demon dragon ancestor's projection grew fainter and fainter, but his face carried a gratified, even relieved smile. "But if you die, how are we going to get to the extreme abyss continent?" "Don't worry. You can use the all-seeing mirror to return to the netherworld continent, and Cho can help you tear open the spatial barrier that leads to the extreme abyss continent. It's a little troublesome, but it's the safest method. That silver dragon ancestor knows that you're going to the extreme abyss continent to make trouble for him, and he'll definitely be waiting for you at the entrance. But if Cho tears open the spatial barrier, he won't be able to track you down, and it'll actually be easier for you." Yun Ruoyan turned to Cho and asked with her eyes. "Don't worry, mistress. Tearing open the spatial barrier is one of my abilities. Little girl, don't forget what you promised me." Before the demon dragon ancestor completely disappeared, he left behind one last sentence. "Don't worry, senior. I'll do my best to revive the demonic dragons and ensure that their lineage continues." Yun Ruoyan looked at the spot where the demon dragon ancestor had disappeared. According to the demon dragon ancestor's previous arrangements, Yun Ruoyan and the others once again went to the extreme abyss continent to see Empress Xuetong. Empress Xuetong was the holy maiden of the silver dragons, and she had some understanding of the extreme abyss continent and the silver dragon palaces. "Here's the map I've prepared for you." Before Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan could state their intentions, Empress Xuetong had Su Bei take out a map of the Silver Dragon City and the Silver Dragon Palace. "Mother, we'll set off immediately. Take care, I'll definitely find your true body and set you free once more," Li Mo promised. "All right, I'll be waiting for you." Empress Xuetong's face was still expressionless, but she couldn't help but choke up. After so many years of waiting, it was finally time to act. Whether or not her son and daughter-in-law would be able to return after so many years of waiting would depend on their success. Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan kowtowed to Empress Xuetong before leaving. Yun Ma Xiao waited outside the castle. This was the first time he had visited a beastkin castle, and he was stunned by the grandeur of the ruins. Ever since he was a child, he had heard of a beastkin castle in the Ueli Mountains, but no one had ever seen it. Many people had tried to search for it, but none of them had found it. He hadn't expected that he would one day be able to experience it himself. Ruoyan, why are you here? Yun Ma Xiao hurriedly walked up to Yun Ruoyan and Liemo. Yun Ruoyan hadn't had a chance to tell her brother about Liemo, and Yun Ma Xiao had long been puzzled as to why they hadn't set off in the direction of the Kongming Mountains, but had instead gone deeper into the Yuli Mountains. However, they had been in such a hurry that he hadn't had a chance to ask. Yun Ruoyan glanced at Liemo. My brother is our family, and he'll be our comrade this time. Shouldn't we tell him about this? That's fine. Go ahead. Brother, let's talk as we walk. We'll reach Kongming Academy by nightfall, Yun Ruoyan said. Along the way, Yun Ruoyan told her brother about Limo's identity, as well as a few other matters regarding the Beast King. Yun Ma Xiao asked a lot of questions, and Yun Ruoyan and Liemo answered them one by one. Only then did he have a better understanding of his sister and brother-in-law. As a result, they arrived at Kongming Academy a little later than planned. They decided to rest for a while before setting off the next day. The night passed uneventfully, and the next day, Yun Ruoyan prepared to hand the mirror to the first elder so that he could reopen the vortex gate to the Heiyuan continent. Together with the 6 elders, they headed to the top of the southern tower. Yun Ruoyan, why don't we see that cultivator from last time? The third elder asked. He ascended, Yun Ruoyan replied truthfully. He's dead, the other elders exclaimed in unison. Yun Ruoyan didn't respond, and the elders naturally took her silence as a tacit agreement. Their faces lit up with joy. They had always been at the pinnacle of the Qinyuan continent, and the sudden appearance of someone who could turn them into mere ants made them extremely uncomfortable. From time to time, they worried that the same thing would happen again. They had all held high positions for a long time, and it wasn't easy for them to bow down again. From the moment the demonic dragon patriarch had appeared until Yun Ruoyan's return to Kongming Academy, the elders had been living in a state of anxiety. They hadn't expected Yun Ruoyan to bring them such great news. That cultivator was dead. They were still at the pinnacle of the Qinyuan continent. Yun Ruoyan. The second elder cleared his throat and straightened his back, returning to his usual lofty demeanor. The all-seeing mirror belonged to Kongming Academy in the first place. Since that cultivator has passed on, shouldn't you return it to us? All of the elders' gazes focused on Yun Ruoyan, waiting for her reply. Yun Ruoyan had indeed wanted to bring the all-seeing mirror to the far abyss continent, but she'd later learned that the mirror wasn't a battle-type spiritual artifact, but rather a formation-type artifact. With its enhancements, formations would be even more powerful. However, Yun Ruoyan didn't know much about formations. Before she learned how to use them, the all-seeing mirror wouldn't be of much use to her, and it wouldn't be safe for her to carry it around. Moreover, it didn't seem like they could bring it with them to the deep abyss continent through the mirror. In that case, she might as well leave it at Kongming Academy. If she wanted to take it back in the future, given her current cultivation, it wouldn't be too difficult. Yes, Yun Ruoyan. She then took out the all-seeing mirror and held it out to the second elder. Not only did the second elder not dare to accept it, he even took a step back. The all-seeing mirror had been in the southern tower since the elders were still regular students. They'd seen the mirror in action a few times, so they didn't dare touch it in the slightest. Yun Ruoyan smiled and placed the mirror back into its original position. Just as the mirror returned to its original position, a sudden clap of thunder rang out from the horizon. The destroyed barrier has been reconstructed. That's great. The elders were all overjoyed, but Yun Ruoyan urged the first elder to hurry up and open the whirlpool for them to enter. Chapter 469. At Yun Ruoyan's urging, the first elder opened the vortex, with Liemo in front and Yun Ruoyan at the back, trapping Yun Ma Xiao in the middle. The blades of wind here were still as sharp as ever. But to Yun Ruoyan, they couldn't cause her any harm. Of the 3 of them, Yun Ma Xiao was the only one who was more affected. Originally, he had wanted to rely on his own cultivation to survive, but the spiritual membrane on his body had been pierced by a wave of blades of wind, and his body immediately became erratic. Fortunately, Yun Ruoyan and Liemo had been paying attention to him the entire time. The two of them reached out to grab him at the same time, then covered him with their own spiritual membranes. The three of them flew steadily through the vortex of blades. No wonder you said we couldn't bring Xiao Lian here. The blades of wind here are truly powerful, Yun Ma Xiao murmured. That's right, Liemo replied. Cultivators below 8th rank aren't allowed to enter. As he said this, he couldn't help but think back to a few years ago, when Yun Ruoyan had resolutely jumped into this vortex of blades of wind with him despite her severe injuries. If not for Yun Ruoyan's insistence, they wouldn't have been able to have Xiao Lian so quickly. Liemo couldn't help but smile. Yun Ma Xiao happened to see Lime's expression, and he was a little puzzled as to why the usually cold slaughtering king was so happy. Suddenly, Yun Ruoyan spoke up. The exit's up ahead. Yun Ma Xiao followed Yun Ruoyan's line of sight and saw a whirlpool-shaped exit. Yun Ruoyan and Liemo rushed into the whirlpool with Yun Ma Xiao in tow. What appeared before Yun Ma Xiao was a vast ocean and a clear blue sky. The three of them had already summoned their swords and were hovering between the ocean and the sky. As soon as the three of them stabilized, Yun Ruoyan summoned Qiu from her pocket dimension. Qiu, can you tear through space here? Yun Ruoyan asked. Qiu crouched in Yun Ruoyan's lap and looked around. This is a good place. Let's do it here. Master, let me borrow your bracelet. Yun Ruoyan took off the bracelet and handed it to Qiu. Qiu grabbed the bracelet with its claws and tossed it into the air. As it floated in the air, the bracelet slowly grew until it was the size of a millstone. Qiu jumped off Yun Ruoyan's lap, then transformed into its battle form and landed on top of the silver bracelet. Master, you guys back off first, Qiu said to the three of them. The three of them retreated behind Qiu. Qiu stood on its two legs and raised its front paws. Spiritual energy surged around its body, causing its fur and the clothes of Yun Ruoyan and the others to flutter in the wind. Roar! Qiu suddenly let out a deafening roar in the air. Accompanied by this roar, Qiu's sharp claws clawed at the void. As if metal was rubbing against each other, Chirp's sharp claws created sparks in the air. The three of them couldn't help but widen their eyes when they saw these sparks. Because they clearly saw that there was a cut where Qiu's claws had scratched. Qiu stuffed both of its claws into the opening and then slowly tore the small opening. Master, Liemo, Yun Ma Xiao, quickly go in. Qiu turned around and called out to the three of them. The three of them immediately stepped forward. Liemo was the first to enter, followed by Yun Ma Xiao and Yun Ruoyan. Once all three of them had entered, Qiu entered the silver bracelet, which transformed into a streak of light that followed behind Yun Ruoyan. The three of them had finally reached the extreme abyss continent. It was as if they had stepped from day to night. At the moment, the extreme abyss continent was dark, but their surroundings were snow-white. Empress Shuetong had told them that the extreme abyss continent was covered in snow all year round, and that the snow was rich in spiritual energy that could be absorbed during cultivation, making it much easier than absorbing spiritual energy from heaven and earth. The three of them looked around. They were at a corner of a street, surrounded by tall buildings. Because it was night, the streets were very quiet. This is Silver Dragon City, Liemo said, pointing to a building in the distance. That should be the Silver Dragon Tower. The building towered into the clouds, and there was something at the top of the tower that glowed brightly. This particular building was marked on the map. Empress Shuetong had also said that the Silver Dragon Tower would be visible as long as they were in Silver Dragon City. The Silver Dragon Tower was built right in front of the Silver Dragon Castle, and they would be able to reach the castle by heading toward it. The three of them were very happy to have found their target. There's an inn over there. Let's rest for the night and move out tomorrow, Liemo said. The extreme abyss continent also used spirit stones, and both Yun Ruoyan and Liemo had quite a few in their storage rings. The three of them had barely taken 2 steps toward the inn when they saw a patrol team coming out from the left corner of the street. These people were all dressed in white warrior robes, and they were walking toward Yun Ruoyan's group. The three of them couldn't help but quicken their pace. "Stop!" a warrior at the front of the group called out to the three of them, and the three of them stopped in their tracks. "Who are you? Don't you know that there's a night curfew in Silver Dragon City?" the warrior asked as he walked toward the three of them. The three of them had all put on white cloaks before entering the city, and their hoods covered their heads and faces. The warrior walked up to Yun Ruoyan, who was closest to them, and grabbed her by the shoulder. When Liemo saw this, he grabbed the warrior's wrist and took off his hood with his other hand, revealing a face that looked as if it had been sculpted from ice. His silver hair fell over his shoulders, and his icy blue eyes stared coldly at the warrior. The guard immediately avoided Liemo's gaze, as if he had been greatly frightened. In a panicked tone, he said, "My lord, I was ordered to patrol the city and have offended you. Please forgive me." Empress Shuetong had once told them that the people of the extreme abyss continent were divided into different ranks. Apart from cultivation, there was also the color of one's hair. There were generally 3 types of hair: gray, silver gray, and pure silver. Those with pure silver hair had the noblest bloodline, followed by those with silver hair, and those with gray hair were the lowest existences. This was why the warrior had panicked so much when Liemo revealed a head of pure silver hair. Liemo let go of the warrior's hand. "I've just returned from somewhere else, and I'm not sure what's going on in Silver Dragon City for the curfew to be enforced." "My lord, the curfew was ordered by the first elder. I heard that a few low-ranked races from a low-ranked continent were trying to cause trouble. As a result, the entire city has tightened security measures," the warrior replied. "It's just a few lowly races. Is there really a need to go to such lengths?" Liemo asked. "I don't know. We're just following orders," the warrior replied. "I heard that one of them was captured not long ago in the Silver Dragon Castle. It said that he's extremely powerful and killed many of the castle's experts. In the end, the first elder had to personally intervene to subdue him. However, the first elder was injured and is currently in seclusion to recover." "Got it. Go." With a flip of his hand, Liemo tossed a high-grade spirit stone to the guard. The guard glanced at it, and Liemo beamed with joy. After thanking Liemo, he led his team back to patrol. When the three of them entered the inn, Liemo asked for 2 of the best rooms. The innkeeper, dressed in a thick fur coat, personally led the 3 of them upstairs. As he walked, he spoke incessantly. "The 3 of you are the first group of customers we've received in the past 10 days. What a curfew! It's a hindrance to our business. Silver Dragon City used to be so lively, but now, it's so cold and deserted." The 3 of them didn't respond. The innkeeper muttered to himself, "Have you heard? In 3 days, someone from a low-ranked continent will be killed on the dragon-slaying platform. We rushed back from the extreme north, and we didn't know about this yet," Liemo replied. "Boss, is this information accurate? If it's true, we'll have to go take a look." "It's absolutely true. My younger brother works in the Dragon Fortress. How could his words be false?" The innkeeper said, "We've arrived. These are the 2 guest rooms. Please rest early, my 3 guests." The innkeeper retreated, and the 3 of them entered a room. Yun Ruoyan saw a stove in the middle of the room, with a kettle hanging over it. There was also a large white urn in the corner of the room. She walked over and opened the lid. Seeing that it was filled with clean water, she smiled. "So this is how the inn operates. No wonder the innkeeper didn't say that he'd send us hot water. She almost asked for it just now. Fortunately, she held back, otherwise, it would be hard to get back." Liamo handed the kettle to Yun Ruoyan, then lit up some coal and started a fire. I didn't expect that there would be someone from a low-ranked continent here. Yun Maxiao took off his hood and sat down by the stove. Yun Ruoyan filled the kettle, and Liamo hung it over the stove. Liamo, who do you think this person is? Could it be someone we know? Yun Ruoyan sat down and looked at Liamo. Liamo frowned slightly. Ruoyan, I'm afraid we're thinking of the same person. Liamo looked at Yun Ruoyan, and the two of them spoke a name in unison. Shuaifeng. Shuaifeng. Yun Maxiao was a little surprised. How could it be him? Didn't you say that he went missing on the Shuyuan continent? Although Yun Maxiao and Shuaifeng admired each other, they hadn't spent much time together, and their relationship wasn't that deep. Yun Maxiao didn't ask about the details of Shuaifeng's absence. Yun Ruoyan then told her brother about Shuaifeng's demonic transformation and disappearance. We don't know how he became demonic either, Yun Ruoyan replied. But now that I think about it, there was a long period of time when Shuaifeng wasn't himself. It's just that we were so busy with other things that we didn't notice. When Shuaifeng had suddenly confessed to her, Yun Ruoyan had been shocked and angry, but she hadn't thought of anything else. Moreover, Shuaifeng's cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds. These were all very strange things, but she hadn't noticed them. This made Yun Ruoyan feel very guilty. Liamo, if it really is Shuaifeng, we have to save him. Yun Ruoyan looked at the fire in the stove. Chapter 470. All right. Liamo looked at Yun Ruoyan with a single word. N. Yun Ruoyan smiled at him. Shuaifeng is our friend. Of course we have to save him, Yun Maxiao replied. We still have 3 days. Tomorrow, we'll find out where that person is being held and confirm whether or not he's really Shuaifeng. Then, we'll come up with a rescue plan. Yun Maxiao had been in the army for many years, and he had fought his way up from the very bottom. He was far more experienced than Yun Ruoyan and Liamo when it came to rescuing people from prison. Early the next morning, Yun Ruoyan used some medicinal powder to disguise the two of them. Gray-haired people were of low status and were easily bullied and ostracized. Silver-haired people, on the other hand, were of high status and would attract too much attention. In order to make their movements easier in the city, Yun Ruoyan and Yun Maxiao had silver hair. When they went downstairs to eat, Yun Maxiao learned from the owner of the restaurant that there was a prison in the Silver Dragon Castle, which was used to detain criminals sentenced to death. The intruder from a low-level continent was most likely locked up in that prison. Their conversation quickly attracted a lot of attention. These silver dragons were very curious about the intruder from a low-tier continent. I've heard that the low-tier continents are barren, and the spiritual energy there is thin. The people who live there have to eat raw meat and drink blood, a middle-aged man wearing a hat said. A few strands of gray hair peeked out from under his hat. What do you know? If that's what you say, would someone from a low-tier continent be able to kill so many experts from the castle? A silver-haired young man glanced at the middle-aged man disdainfully. Big brother. At this time, a silver-haired young man walked into the inn from outside. Oh, you're back. The innkeeper immediately greeted him with a smile. Why are you back at this hour? I've made an agreement with the kitchen in the Imperial City. In the future, all of the kitchen's vegetables will be provided by our shop. Some meat and other food will also be provided by you, big brother. This is the menu. The shopkeeper's younger brother took out a piece of paper and handed it over. The innkeeper took a look at the menu and immediately smiled. Wonderful. If we supply all of this, our income this year will increase several-fold. Come, brother, let's go to the back and talk. As the two brothers walked to the back of the inn, Yun Ruoyan heard the innkeeper ask, "Do you want us to provide food for the prisoners?" Brother, what's so good about prison food? You're always thinking about it. You don't understand. If the leftovers in our restaurant can be used as prison meals, wouldn't that be a free profit? All right then, I'll go back and ask. Yun Ruoyan's group of 3 exchanged glances. They'd clearly heard the conversation between the 2 brothers. All 3 of them had the same idea. In the past 2 days, the 3 of them had been familiarizing themselves with the surroundings on the streets. Eventually, they arrived at the gate of the Silver Dragon Castle. The security at the city gate was very tight, and there were portraits of about a dozen people on both sides of the city wall. The 3 of them leaned over to take a look. To their surprise, there were portraits of the 3 of them. However, none of them had disguised themselves, and Liemo hadn't changed his appearance either, so he wasn't afraid of being recognized. Hey, brother, what kind of people are those portraits on the wall? Yun Maxiao grabbed an elderly man wearing a hat and asked. Usually, those who wore hats were gray-haired, low-ranking silver dragons, and they were easier to talk to. Those? Other than the 3 black-haired ones, they're from a low-ranking continent, the rest are members of the magical bandits, the elder replied. Oh, so they're from the magical bandits. Thank you, elder. Yun Maxiao really wanted to know who the magical bandits were. He didn't dare to ask, for fear of exposing himself. However, after the incident, the 3 of them still managed to find out what kind of existence the magical bandits were. It was said that there used to be 3 races on the extreme abyss continent, the silver dragons, the demonic dragons, and the demonic cultivators. Later, both the demonic dragons and the demonic cultivators withered away, leaving only the silver dragons. The demonic dragons completely disappeared, but the remnants of the demonic cultivators formed the magical bandits. The demonic cultivators of the magical bandits burned, killed, and plundered. Even after tens of thousands of years, they still hadn't been eradicated. On the wall were some of the leaders of the magical bandits. As the saying went, the enemy of an enemy was a friend. To a certain extent, these members of the magical bandits were friends of Yun Ruoyan's trio, and it wouldn't be a bad thing to get to know them. According to their observations, the Silver Dragon Castle was not only heavily guarded, but the castle walls were also exceptionally tall. The walls weren't made of stone, but rather seemed to be carved out of an enormous block of ice. They were so slippery that even Liemo couldn't climb them. So far, the 3 of them had only discovered 2 ways to enter the castle, through the front door, or by flying on their swords. From time to time, the 3 of them would see swords flying into the castle from afar. However, if Yun Ruoyan's trio were to use this method, they would likely be killed by hidden experts before they could even reach the castle walls. The 3 of them even purposely probed the cultivation of the people around them. The weakest among them was a beggar on the side of the street, roughly equivalent to a 9th-rank blade master. Even the shopkeeper was a peak-rank blade master. This result was quite a setback for Yun Maxiao. The 3 of them spent the next 3 days familiarizing themselves with the Silver Dragon Castle and its surroundings. On the evening of the 3rd day, Yun Maxiao invited the innkeeper into his room for a table full of good food and wine. Thank you for taking care of me these past few days. Here's a toast to you. Yun Maxiao toasted the innkeeper. You're too kind, my friends. The innkeeper finished his wine and was slightly tipsy. It's my honor to have the 3 of you here. I can tell that the 3 of you aren't ordinary people. The 3 of them had been staying in the inn for the past few days, and they were very generous with their spending spirit stones like flowing water. The banquet table in front of them was worth more than 100 high-grade spirit stones, and it was specially booked from the famous Soaring Dragon Hotel in the city. People liked generous people, and the innkeeper was even more so. When the 3 of you entered the inn that night, I noticed that the 3 of you looked very familiar. The innkeeper said, the 3 of you look like the people on the portrait posted outside the gate of the Dragon Castle. When the 3 of them heard this, their hearts skipped a beat, and they prepared to take out their weapons to silence the innkeeper. But the innkeeper's relaxed expression didn't seem to indicate that he knew anything. The innkeeper burped and pointed at the three of them with a finger. "You're from the demon thieves, aren't you?" The three of them heaved a sigh of relief. After a long while, Liamo asked, "You don't seem to be afraid of the demon thieves." "Others might be, but I'm not." The shopkeeper smiled and said, "Because I have dealt with the magical thieves before. My shop has received them before." The innkeeper lowered his voice. "They're not as cruel as people say they are. They only kill people in the castle or those who are related to the important figures in the castle. They won't do anything to ordinary people like us. As long as they don't hurt me, I'll just do my business and pretend to be blind and deaf." "Innkeeper, you're right. The people who destroyed my sect were the Silver Dragon Elders and their lackeys, not the commoners," Yun Ma Xiao said. Yun Ma Xiao continued, "That's why we have a business proposition with you. Would you be interested?" As soon as Yun Ma Xiao's voice fell, Liamo took off a storage ring from his hand and said, "There are 10,000 high-grade spirit stones in this ring. If you're willing to do this business, these spirit stones are all yours." The shopkeeper stared at the storage ring with a greedy glint in his eyes. He wiped his mouth with his hand and said, "What business? Tell me, as long as it doesn't kill me, I'll do it." The innkeeper's avaricious nature was ingrained in his bones. The three of them catered to his tastes, and it worked. "To tell you the truth, we chose to stay at your inn because we knew that you had a brother working in the castle. A good friend of ours has been imprisoned in Dragon Castle, and we'd like to see him one last time. We'd like to ask the innkeeper to help us talk to your lord and find a way to let us see him one last time," Yun Ma Xiao said. "Well." The innkeeper looked troubled. "My brother is a cautious man, so this won't be easy." "High risk comes with high reward," Yun Ruoyan replied. She took off a storage ring from her finger and placed it next to Li Mo's ring. "I still have 5,000 high-grade spirit stones here. If you're willing to take the risk, all of them are yours." The innkeeper rubbed his hands together in excitement. After a long while, he finally made up his mind. "I'll give it a try. I'll let you know tomorrow night." The three of them waited in the inn for an entire day. By the second night, not only was the innkeeper's brother unwilling to help them, but he had even reprimanded the innkeeper. "If that's the case, we'll have to think of something else," Yun Ma Xiao said helplessly. The innkeeper, however, wasn't in a hurry to leave. After a moment's hesitation, he said, "I have another idea. Would the three of you be willing to give it a try?" "What is it?" the three of them asked. "My brother sent word today that he's taken over the prison food business in the castle. From now on, we'll be in charge of making and delivering prison meals. The three of you can disguise yourselves as prison food deliverers and sneak in." "Sure." The three of them's eyes lit up. "All right, it's settled then," the innkeeper said. "We'll start making the first batch of prison meals in 2 days. But let me warn you, if you're exposed, don't drag me down with you. That won't happen. We're just going to see him off and ask if he has any unfulfilled wishes. Besides, the castle's impenetrable, and the three of us won't be able to save him," Yun Ruoyan said, handing her storage ring to the innkeeper. Yun Ruoyan handed her storage ring to the shopkeeper. "Take this as a deposit, and we'll give you the other 10,000 once we're back from visiting our brother." The innkeeper took the 5,000 high-grade spirit stones and left with a smile. 2 days later, before dawn, Yun Ruoyan, Liamo, and Yun Ma Xiao donned the innkeeper's uniforms and dragged a cart full of leftovers toward the castle. Chapter 471. The person leading the way was a short, low-ranked servant from the castle. The city gates weren't open yet, so the errand boy led the three of them into the castle through a side door. After an hour, they finally arrived in front of the dungeon. The journey was very smooth. "Over there." The three of them thought that they'd be able to enter the dungeons immediately, but the errand boy pointed to the side. "Aren't we going to the dungeons now?" Yun Ruoyan asked, seeing that the errand boy was pointing in the opposite direction. Your store's trash has to be cleaned before it can be eaten, right? The errand boy glanced sideways at Yun Ruoyan. Prisoners are humans, too, and they need to eat something warm. Brother, you're right. Let's go right now. Yun Maxiao drove the carriage in the direction that the short servant had pointed. After entering what appeared to be a kitchen, the servant instructed Yun Ruoyan and the other two to pour the leftovers from the 3 large wooden buckets into a large cauldron, then heat them up before serving them out. In the future, all the food you bring in will have to be heated up here before being sent to the dungeons, understood? Yes, I'll do as you say. Yun Maxiao smiled. After that, they pulled 3 wooden buckets filled with hot food back to the prison. The leftover food in the wooden buckets was originally cold and tasteless, but once it was heated up, a strange sour smell wafted out. The guards at the prison door pinched their noses and urged them to hurry in. Then, they pushed the carriage into the prison. By then, the sky was already starting to brighten, and it was time to distribute the food. Under the errand boy's instructions, the 3 of them divided the food in the large buckets into smaller wooden buckets, and then each of them carried a small bucket and began to distribute the food to the cells one by one. Yun Ruoyan looked to her left and right. There were nearly 100 prisoners in the entire dungeon, but the 3 of them didn't know where Zhuifeng was. In fact, they couldn't even begin to guess whether he was even here. All they could do was search as they distributed the food. After a round of distribution of food, Yun Ruoyan raised her head and saw that the errand boy, who had been standing there with his hands on his hips, had disappeared. Liamo, brother, did you see that shorty? Yun Ruoyan asked. I saw him head in that direction. Why? Yun Maxiao asked. Yun Ruoyan placed the wooden bucket on the ground and whispered, don't you think that shorty's a little strange? Both Yun Maxiao and Liamo put down their buckets. Yenher, did you discover something? Liamo asked. I didn't find anything. Yun Ruoyan frowned. But although that shorty looks like an errand boy, he doesn't speak or act like one. Rather, he seems more like a leader of some sort. Yes, that's indeed the feeling, Yun Maxiao agreed. Could it be that there's something strange about this errand boy? I'm starving. Are you going to give me food? That's right. We only have 1 meal a day. Don't tell me you don't give us anything. Why don't you just kill us now? Why let us poor people starve to death? The prisoners who hadn't had their meals yet began to protest when they saw Yun Ruoyan, Liamo huddled together and chatted. Almost all of these prisoners had been sentenced to death, and their cultivations had been crippled. In the past, they could abstain from eating, but now, they needed food to sustain their lives. The feeling of extreme hunger that they hadn't experienced for so long was like a blunt knife cutting into their flesh, making them wish they were dead. All right, he's coming. Yun Maxiao hurriedly motioned for them to keep quiet. If they alerted the jailers, they wouldn't be able to do as they pleased. Brother, leave the food here. Liamo and I'll go take a look, Yun Ruoyan instructed her brother. All right. Yun Maxiao nodded, then began placing the food in each bucket. As he did so, he said, don't worry, if there's not enough food for you today, I'll make sure you're full tomorrow. Yun Ruoyan and Liamo chased after the errand boy. Over there. Liamo scanned the errand boy's location with his spiritual sense and pulled Yun Ruoyan along. The 2 of them hid in a corner, where the errand boy was standing in front of a cell not far from them. There were black stone walls everywhere. Only the place where the short servant was standing had a prison cell. The iron door of the cell was very high. The short servant was leaning against the iron door, but he didn't seem to be half as tall as the iron door. Supreme. The errand boy called out to the only cell. I've come to see you, and I've brought some medicine for your wounds. All right, toss it in, a sinister voice rang out. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo glanced at each other, their eyes brightening. This sinister voice was one they were familiar with. It was the voice that had come from Zhuori Feng's mouth back on the Netherworld continent, and the owner of the voice was a demonic spirit. Yes, Supreme, the errand boy replied respectfully. The short servant replied respectfully. Then, a ball of black rose from his feet and dragged his entire body up. He then took out a cloth bag from his bosom and threw it into the cell through the small opening above the iron door. The errand boy bowed toward the metal door and was about to leave when the sinister voice suddenly called out, "Where did you come from, friend? What are you up to?" The short man bowed to the iron gate and was about to leave when the evil voice suddenly said, "Where did this friend come from? What are you trying to do by sneaking around?" The short servant immediately stopped and looked around vigilantly. He said, "Who's here? Come out." Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo walked out from the corner of the room. "It's Li Mo," Li Mo replied. "It's Li Mo," the sinister voice rang out from the cell. "And the other person must be Yun Ruoyan." "That's me," Yun Ruoyan replied. He, the demon's soul let out a series of strange laughter. "You two little guys are really not afraid of death. You actually came here. Where's that old demon dragon? He must have instigated you to come here. Tell him to come out and see me." "The demonic dragon ancestor isn't here," Yun Ruoyan replied. "He isn't here. How could that be? If he wasn't here, he wouldn't have asked you to take such a risk." The demonic spirit didn't believe Yun Ruoyan's words. "Cut the crap. Hurry up and have him help me escape. Doesn't he want to deal with the silver dragon ancestor? I'm willing to join forces with him to kill him. I'm afraid we won't be able to help you fulfill that wish of yours," Yun Ruoyan replied. "The demonic dragon ancestor has reached the limit of his lifespan and ascended." "What did you say?" "He ascended." The demonic spirit paused for a moment before replying, "How could that be? He's the demonic dragon ancestor, and he was once the closest to the peak of cultivation. How could he have ascended?" "The demonic dragon ancestor has indeed ascended," Li Mo replied. "But if you want to cooperate, we can consider it." Li Mo and Yun Ruoyan had already walked up to the metal door. The short servant glared at the two of them and moved to the side. "Shorty, keep a lookout at the door," the demonic spirit instructed. "Yes, senior." The short servant glanced at Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo, then left to keep a lookout. The metal door to the cell was so tall that Yun Ruoyan had to stand on her tiptoes to see through the small window. The cell was also dark. Yun Ruoyan infused her eyes with spiritual energy, and finally saw a familiar, thin figure, Zhuori Feng. "Zhuori Feng!" Yun Ruoyan called out suddenly. The figure suddenly turned around, and a pair of bright eyes met Yun Ruoyan's. "We're here to save you," Yun Ruoyan continued. Zhuori Feng stood up and took 2 steps forward, but it was as if some kind of power was binding him. He only took 2 steps before he was unable to move forward. "Ruoyan, you shouldn't have come here." After Zhuori Feng uttered a sound that belonged to him, his bright eyes were slowly covered by a blood-red hue. "So you're here to save Zhuori Feng?" Zhuori Feng's sinister voice rang out once more. As expected of a sentimental girl. "His infatuation with you isn't in vain. Even I've been touched by him. Are you touched as well?" "Demon, don't spout nonsense. Zhuori Feng and I are just friends, and I only saved him out of friendship." Yun Ruoyan replied angrily. "Oh, I see," the demonic spirit laughed. The devil spirit laughed strangely. "If Zhuori Feng heard your words, he would probably be sad. After all, he became my puppet step by step in order to help you. What a silly child." What do you mean by that?" Yun Ruoyan questioned. "What do you mean by that?" "Little girl, Do you still remember when you were captured by Thunderbolt Heaven and locked in a secret prison in the Nether Abyss Continent City Lord's mansion? Zhuo Feng was also captured in order to save you. It was at that time that Zhuo Feng agreed to share a body with me in order to save you as soon as possible. He used my power, and I took control of his body step by step. Do you think Zhuo Feng became like this because of you? Yun Ruoyan's hands gripped the metal door tighter and tighter. She had never known that Zhuo Feng had sacrificed so much for her. Liu Mo placed a hand on Yun Ruoyan's shoulder, then slowly tightened his grip. Everything Zhuo Feng did was of his own free will. It's not your fault. But he did all of that for me. Yun Ruoyan turned back to Liu Mo, her beautiful eyes filled with tears. Zhuo Feng was the first friend she had made after her rebirth, and the one she trusted the most. Yet, this friend of hers had sacrificed himself for her. Only now did she realize that it was impossible for Yun Ruoyan not to blame herself for her actions. That's why we have to save him, then do our best to make it up to him, Liu Mo continued. Alright, we have to save him, then make it up to him. Yun Ruoyan nodded. What do you want in exchange for letting Zhuo Feng go? You can state your conditions now. Chapter 472. When Zhuo Feng's thin, weary figure appeared in front of them, the second brother, third brother, and even the 10th brother were all stunned. Brother, you're saying that he's the senior? A tall, thin youth pointed at Zhuo Feng. The other 6 youths looked at each other, their expressions clearly suspicious. None of them had ever seen the legendary senior of the demon race, but this man, who had suddenly been pulled out of his slumber, was abnormally thin and pale, and didn't have the slightest hint of the domineering aura of a demon. Brother, don't be rude. Before the shorty could reprimand his brother, Zhuo Feng opened his blood-red eyes. His gaze swept across the 6 youths, and they immediately felt their souls tremble. Their legs wobbled, and they all fell to their knees, trembling uncontrollably. Forgive us, senior, these are my brothers from the demonic bandits. Their cultivation and foresight are too shallow, and they've offended you. The demon spirit closed his eyes and retracted his aura. I need to go into seclusion immediately to recuperate. The demonic bandits immediately arranged a place for the demon spirit to recuperate. Yun Ruoyan and the others wanted to leave, but they were stopped by the other demonic bandits. Brother Shorty, what's the meaning of this? Yun Ma Xiao asked. Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's expressions were grim, but Yun Ma Xiao was the only one who could maintain a smile. You're all the senior's friends, so of course we have to treat you well, the only woman among the 6 youths spoke up. The only female among the 6 said, also, our big brother has a name. His name is Huang Chuan. Oh, Brother Huang. Yun Ma Xiao immediately corrected himself. What do you mean? We're just hoping to keep the 3 of you here for a few days, Huang Chuan replied. If the senior doesn't see you when he comes out of seclusion, he'll surely blame us for not being a good host. That won't be necessary, Yun Ruoyan replied. We still have things to do. Once your senior comes out of seclusion, we'll come find him. We'll be staying at the Spirit Cloud Tavern, and you can come find us if you want. The shorty said helplessly, to tell you the truth, we never let anyone other than the magicians know about this place. It's not that I don't trust you, it's just that the High Lord is currently recuperating and we don't want to complicate matters. So if you want to leave, please wait for the High Lord to recover and listen to his arrangements. Although Yun Ruoyan wasn't happy with their insistence, she agreed to their request to stay until the demonic spirit emerged from seclusion. Considering that they might be useful to her in the future, she agreed to their request. Brother Huang, I made a promise to the prisoners in prison today. You have to help me with this matter, Yun Ma Xiao said. Don't worry, it's a small matter. Huang Chuan was in charge of delivering food to the prisoners, so it was not difficult for him to add some good ingredients to the daily pig feed. Big brother Huang, Mo Ling was rescued by you guys. Once the prison guards find out that he's not in the prison, will you be suspicious? Yun Ruoyan's question caused the 6 members of the bandit group to look nervously at Huang Chuan. Don't worry. The High Lord is locked up there, and no one visits him even once a month. No one will notice his absence so quickly, Huang Chuan replied nonchalantly. The demon spirit didn't need to eat or drink, and he was bound by a restriction. Under normal circumstances, no one would look after him, unless the first elder of the Silver Dragon clan suddenly thought of him. I've been locked up in a prison for more than 100 years. By the time someone finds out, they won't suspect a lowly dwarf like me, Huang Chuan replied. 5 days later, the demon spirit's recovery was finally complete, and the group immediately began to discuss how they would enter the dragon castle and reach their respective goals. The demon spirit had only one goal, to obtain the holy water and reconstruct his body. In addition to the holy water, Yun Ruoyan's group also needed to locate Empress Xue Tong's body. The holy water was hidden in a secret chamber in the Silver Dragon Divine Hole. The security there was very tight, and only that old thing, Silver Dragon, could enter. It took me almost half a year to sneak in, and I was only one step away from reaching my goal, but I was injured by the restriction and ambush that Silver Dragon had set up outside the secret chamber. The demon spirit's face was full of anger. Liemo took out the map of the dragon castle that Empress Xue Tong had prepared for him and spread it out on the table. Is this the Silver Dragon Temple you speak of? Liemo asked, pointing to a spot on the map that read, Silver Dragon Temple. When Empress Xue Tong had given them the map, she had mentioned that she hadn't returned to the extreme abyss continent in 100 years, and that the map could only be used as a reference. Yes, this is the place, the demon spirit replied. This map was left behind by the demonic dragon ancestor before he died, wasn't it? Liemo neither confirmed nor denied the demon spirit's claim. Instead, he changed the topic and asked, have there been any changes to the internal structure of the temple? The sacred palace is a forbidden area for the silver dragons, and only the first elder and their holy maiden are allowed to enter. I've only been there once, so how would I know what it's like? The demon spirit glanced at Liemo strangely. Why are you asking about this? Do you have any other goals other than the holy water? Liemo exchanged a glance with the demon spirit, considering whether or not he should tell him about his mother. If they entered the temple together, they might need the demon spirit's help. Moreover, if the demon spirit became suspicious, even if he didn't ask about the cause and effect, he would surely keep an eye on them. In that case, it would be better to lay the matter out in the open. As a result, Liemo told the demon spirit about Empress Xue Tong's body. Apart from the holy water, we'll also need to retrieve my mother's body, Liemo began. That won't be easy, the demon spirit replied. The demonic spirit said directly, I've already alerted the enemy. That old guy Silver Dragon must be guarding against you now. It's not easy to get the holy water, and it's almost impossible to get a body out of the temple. Liemo fell silent. The demon spirit's words were exactly what he was worried about. In that case, we might as well kill the Silver Dragon Elder. Without his interference, it'll be much easier for us to kill him. If we all work together, we might be able to kill him. Yun Ruoyan nodded. Because of Qiuqiu's existence in the pocket dimension, Yun Ruoyan was very confident. Qiuqiu was her secret weapon, and she hadn't let Qiuqiu out all this time. Who knew, at the critical moment, it might become the Silver Dragon Elder's fatal blow. It won't be that easy, the demon spirit replied. Not only is the Silver Dragon a powerful cultivator, but he also lives in seclusion within the dragon castle. Killing him will be incredibly difficult. The crowd fell silent once more. Things are dead, but people are alive, Yun Maxiao suddenly spoke up. Brother, have you thought of a good idea? Yun Ruoyan turned to her brother. I haven't thought of a specific plan, but think about it, the temple is dead, the secret chamber is dead, and even the holy water and Empress Xue Tong's body are dead. If we don't go in, they won't be able to get out. Brother, what do you mean? Yun Ruoyan pressed. What I mean is, if the silver dragon elder is alive, is there a way to lure him out of the castle? It'd be best if we could lure him into an ambush, Yun Maxiao suggested. Can we come up with a plan to lure him into our trap? The crowd continued to remain silent, but not because they were at a loss. Rather, it was because they were thinking of a way to lure the silver dragon elder out of the castle. Lord, I have something to say. Huang Chuan, who had been standing to the side, bowed to the demon spirit. Speak. 3 of my brothers used to work in the castle, and they received a piece of news not long ago, Huang Chuan began. The current holy maiden of the Silver Dragon clan often goes out to play in disguise. Could we use her as bait to lure the Silver Dragon elder out? Huang Chuan had already thought of this idea a long time ago, but the demon spirit, Yun Ruoyan, and the others hadn't appeared at that time. They didn't have the confidence to kill the Silver Dragon elder, and luring him out would be suicidal. Now, however, the situation was different. All 6 of them were at least peak swordsmen, and with Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's help, the demon spirit's cultivation was even more unfathomable. If they were to gang up on the Silver Dragon elder, they would have a good chance of winning. I've heard from Mother that the Holy Maiden is very important to the Silver Dragon clan. If we capture her, the Silver Dragon First Elder will be very anxious, Li Mo said. The Holy Maiden's importance to the Silver Dragon clan was evident from the incident with Empress Shuetong. Back when Empress Shuetong had escaped to the Qinyuan continent, she had been found by the Silver Dragon elders, who had retrieved her body and stored it in the shrine. Empress Shuetong had also told him that the Holy Maiden's life was particularly dull, and that her freedom was restricted. She wasn't allowed to interact with men, which was why she had fled so desperately. It seemed that the current Holy Maiden, like Empress Shuetong, was fed up with life in the demonic dragon castle and had sneaked out to seek entertainment. That's indeed a good idea, the demon spirit agreed. Mo Ling agreed. He then turned to Huang Chuan and ordered, "Tell your 3 brothers to keep a close eye on this saint lady. If she sneaks out again, immediately report to me." Huang Chuan replied sadly, "When my 3 brothers found out that you'd been captured, they accidentally exposed themselves in order to find out your whereabouts. I'm afraid they're all in dire straits by now." Mo Ling, who always had a sinister temperament, showed a rare expression of emotion. He stood up from his seat, and his sinister voice became a bit solemn. "This Lord will remember your loyalty. This Lord will definitely avenge them." "Thank you, Senior." Huang Chuan bowed once more. "Brother Huang, you've lived here for so many years. I'm sure you have a way for us to sneak into the castle. It'd be best if we could get close to the Holy Maiden," Yun Ruoyan suggested. Huang Chuan thought for a moment. "As far as I know, the current Holy Maiden has a fiery temper, and her personal maids usually don't last more than a month." He turned to Yun Ruoyan and continued, "If you're willing, Miss Yun, I can think of a way to get you into the castle as the Holy Maiden's personal maid." Chapter 473. I'm willing. No. 2 voices rang out simultaneously, Yun Ruoyan's and Li Mo's. "Would you 2 like to discuss this?" Huang Chuan looked hesitant. "No, I'm willing," Yun Ruoyan hurriedly added. It's too dangerous." Li Mo frowned at Yun Ruoyan. "The Silver Dragon Elder has seen your face before. What if he recognizes you?" "Ruoyan, brother-in-law's right," Yun Maxiao agreed, then turned to Huang Chuan. "Is there anyone looking for a male servant?" Huang Chuan shook his head. "A holy maiden must be as pure as ice and as pure as jade, and no other men can approach her except the First Elder." "So I'll go," Yun Ruoyan insisted. "I can disguise myself so that I won't be recognized, and I have Chocho with me. I'm a 2nd-level sword saint now, and with Chocho's protection, it shouldn't be a problem for me to escape if I encounter any danger. As long as her enemies weren't waiting for her, Yun Ruoyan was confident that she would be able to escape as quickly as possible if her identity was discovered. After such a long period of training, not only had her cultivation increased, but she had also developed a forte, escaping. Liamo, there really doesn't seem to be any other way but to let the girl take a risk, the demon said. Liamo glanced at the demon coldly. Didn't he know that this was the best course of action at the moment? More importantly, how could he allow Yun Ruoyan's safety to escape his grasp? If anything were to happen to Yun Ruoyan, all of this would be meaningless. Brotherly, I can think of a way for you to enter the castle as a guard. Although you won't be able to stay with Madame Li, you'll still be able to save her if anything happens. What do you think? Huang Chuan could see Li Mo's concerns, so he proposed a compromise. Brother Huang, why didn't you say so earlier? Since you're so capable, why don't you get me in as well? No. Huang Chuan refused without even thinking about it. Why not? Yun Ma Xiao didn't understand. Because you don't have the bloodline of the Silver Dragon race. Huang Chuan said, those without the bloodline of the Silver Dragon race are not qualified to enter the Dragon Castle. According to Huang Chuan, although the Silver Dragon clan reigned supreme on the extreme Abyss continent, there were still a few other clans. All of the non-humans were mixed in with the gray hair. For example, he and his other 6 brothers did not have the Silver Dragon bloodline. The 3 brothers with the Silver Dragon bloodline had most likely all been killed. How do you know I don't have the Silver Dragon race's bloodline? Yun Ma Xiao asked doubtfully. My hair has been dyed a silver-gray color that's almost indistinguishable from the real thing. The Silver Dragon bloodline manifests itself on the surface, and the most direct way to tell is through the color of your hair. Is there any other way to detect it? Of course. Anyone who wants to enter the Dragon Castle has to undergo a blood test. Only those who are tested to have the Silver Dragon bloodline can work in the Dragon Castle. But you didn't test my blood. Yun Ma Xiao frowned. Furthermore, my sister Yun Ruoyan doesn't have the Silver Dragon bloodline, so she can't enter the Dragon Castle either. Huang Chuan looked at Yun Ruoyan and narrowed his eyes. No, she has the Silver Dragon bloodline. Although it's a small amount, it's enough. That's impossible. Yun Ma Xiao exclaimed. I'm a demon, and my talent is to detect the purity of a person's bloodline, Huang Chuan continued. Huang Chuan said, when I first saw you, I could tell that you weren't members of the Silver Dragon clan. Because Brother Yun doesn't have the Silver Dragon bloodline, and Madame Li's Silver Dragon bloodline is extremely weak, I let my guard down. Yun Ma Xiao still refused to believe it, but Li Mo looked at Yun Ruoyan's abdomen, his eyes flashing. Holding her hand, he asked, Yen, are you pregnant again? Yun Ruoyan could only nod. Yes. A few days before we entered the extreme Abyss continent, I discovered that I was pregnant again. I had to come to the extreme Abyss continent, but you wouldn't have agreed if you'd known I was pregnant, so I could only hide it from you. Seeing Li Mo's expression darken, Yun Ruoyan continued, last time, you didn't allow me to enter the abyssal continent with you because I was injured, but I stubbornly followed you. After that, we stayed on the abyssal continent for many years. Although we experienced many dangers, we were both fine. This time will be the same. I believe that as long as we're together, we'll do our best to protect each other, even if there's danger. Yun Ruoyan had learned this truth in real life. Every time she was on the brink of death, she would be filled with fighting spirit as long as she thought of Li Mo waiting for her not far away. She hoped that Li Mo would feel the same way. Ah. Li Mo sighed. Now that things have come to this, I can't send you back immediately even if I wanted to. Cho could tear through space, but he couldn't, and Cho seemed to only listen to Yun Ruoyan. Li Mo, trust me. Yun Ruoyan looked at Li Mo. Before, I was only one person, so I was easily impulsive. Now that I'm two people, I'll definitely take care of myself for the little fellow. In the end, they agreed that Yunruoyan would enter the dragon castle and wait for an opportunity to become the Holy Maiden's personal maidservant. Liamo would follow her into the castle as a guard. The others would wait outside for news of Yunruoyan's return. After capturing the Holy Maiden, they would set up a trap to surround and kill the first elder. They waited in the courtyard for another 3 days before Huang Chuan's good news finally arrived. That afternoon, he brought Yunruoyan to the dragon castle. The castle was divided into 3 layers. The first layer was the outer layer, where the prison and the guards' residences were located. Beyond the outer layer was the middle layer, where the important members of the Silver Dragon clan lived and where they handled their affairs. The last layer was the most important part of the castle. The Divine Hall was in the center, and so were the palaces of the Holy Maiden and the First Elder. Huang Chuan brought Yunruoyan to the outskirts of the prison and waited near the prison. Not long after, a middle-aged woman appeared in the distance. She had a head of silver hair, and although it wasn't as pure as Li Mo's, she would still stand out in a crowd. "Mammy Li, you're here." Huang Chuan immediately stepped forward with his 2 short legs. "Huang Chuan, the little girl you sent last time is not good. She's too delicate." As soon as Mammy Li approached, she immediately complained to Huang Chuan. The Holy Maiden just slapped her, and she was so scared that she trembled all over. The Holy Maiden was so angry. "Mammy Li, calm down." Huang Chuan took out a bag of 100 upper-level spirit stones from his arms and stuffed them into Mammy Li's hands. Mammy Li weighed the spirit stones in her hands and looked a little better. She said to Huang Chuan, "You must have earned a lot from the families of these girls, right?" Of course, Huang Chuan would never dare to forget Nanny's kindness. If this woman can win the favor of the saintess, Huang Chuan will be filial to Nanny. Huang Chuan said with a flattering smile. If these girls can win the favor of the Holy Maiden after entering the dragon castle, they will get very valuable rewards. You will definitely get a share of the rewards. It's your duty to honor me, Mammy Li said coldly. Mammy Li said very coldly. The bag of upper-grade spiritual stones had been put into her space ring. "It's my duty, my duty." Huang Chuan spared no effort in flattering her. Mammy Li would definitely not tell Huang Chuan that although the Holy Maiden was generous, she had an eccentric temper. Everyone loved money, but they loved their lives more. There were no maids in the entire dragon castle who dared to serve the Holy Maiden, so she asked Huang Chuan to find a new maid. Fortunately, Huang Chuan was a sensible man. He didn't keep all the benefits to himself, so he was a long-term partner. "Let me have a look at the goods this time." Mammy Li's eyes fell on Yunruoyan. "Raise your head and let me look at you." Yunruoyan, who had been standing there with her head down, finally raised her head. Mammy Li frowned and said, "Better than the last one. I'll take her." Yunruoyan lowered her head again and thought to herself, "I look better than the last one." How ugly was the last one? No wonder the Holy Maiden is angry. No one will be in a good mood when facing such an ugly face. Before setting off, Yunruoyan had disguised herself, but Huang Chuan said she was too beautiful and couldn't do it. Then he asked her to make herself look like this, an ugly woman with inverted eyes, a flat nose, and thick lips. With her current appearance, she would be ugly even on the Qinyuan continent, let alone on the extreme Abyss continent. Most of the Silver Dragon women Yunruoyan had seen on the streets were beautiful. Only a few were slightly uglier, perhaps because they didn't have enough Silver Dragon blood in their veins, but they were still far more pleasing to the eye than Yunruoyan was right now. "Go and serve the Holy Maiden well. Your family and I will wait for your good news," Huang Chuan said from behind Yunruoyan. Yunruoyan followed Mammy Li to the middle gate. At the gate, there was a routine check. The guard pricked Yunruoyan's finger with a special silver needle, and then the needle turned into a very light blue color. No problem. You can go in now, the guard said. Yun Ruoyan followed Mammy Li forward. The dragon castle was very spacious, and it took them less than an hour to pass through the innermost gate and enter the core area. Yun Ruoyan estimated that the dragon castle was half the size of the Silver Dragon City. In such a large space, everything was very quiet. Both men and women were dressed in silver, and their steps were orderly and silent. Obviously, they had been specially trained, and all of them were as beautiful as flowers. Yun Ruoyan couldn't help but feel strange. Shouldn't the maidservants of the Holy Maiden have been strictly trained? Why did they find such an ugly maidservant from outside? While Yun Ruoyan was lost in thought, Mammy Li, who was walking in front of her, turned around and said, I don't know what your level of cultivation is, but you must remember not to use it in the dragon castle. Otherwise, the consequences will be severe. I understand, Yun Ruoyan said obediently. Chapter 474. Seeing that Yun Ruoyan was very cautious, Mammy Li thought that she was frightened by her conversation with Huang Chuan, so she said, in fact, the Holy Virgin is not so scary, although she has a bad temper. Remember, when serving the Holy Virgin, you must be patient and careful. You can't be fragile. You can't cry after being beaten by the Holy Virgin. While talking, they had arrived at the center of the dragon castle. Yun Ruoyan was led into a rather gorgeous white palace by Mammy Li. This is the palace where the Holy Virgin lives. Follow me, and don't look around. Mammy Li walked all the way, and Yun Ruoyan followed closely. The palace was very large, and there were several courtyards. Yun Ruoyan was not a person with a good sense of direction. After walking for a few laps, she couldn't tell the directions. Along the way, they met a lot of patrolling warriors. Like the palace maids they met before, their movements were neat and uniform, and there was no sound. These were the results of strict training. The Holy Virgin is inside. Wait for me. I'll go in first. Mammy Li stopped outside a large room with Yun Ruoyan. She asked Yun Ruoyan to wait outside and went in. Yun Ruoyan looked around. She had no idea where she was now. She couldn't help but be annoyed that she forgot that she had no sense of direction. It seemed that she had to spend some time to figure out the way here in the future. Mammy Li, tell me, how many palace maids have you found? At this time, a pleasant female voice came from inside. Every one of them is so useless. They only make me angry. I think you are also a useless old man. It was a pleasant voice, but the words that came out of it weren't pleasant at all. In fact, it was very vulgar. Oh! Little ancestor. Mammy Li lowered her voice and shouted, where did you learn these vulgar words? Don't let the first elder hear it, or I will lose my life. Mammy Li lowered her voice and said, what are you talking about? I know. I'll only say it in front of you. He won't hear it. The Holy Virgin was very angry at first, but now she smiled and said, Mammy, bring him up. I'm so anxious that no one plays with me these days. All right, all right. Mammy Li said dotingly, little ancestor, you have to be gentle this time. If you beat them away again, I don't know where to find more people for you. I know, I know. Nanny, you are so long-winded. As soon as Yun Ruoyan heard the conversation between the old and the young, she felt that this saintess had a childish temperament. This kind of person was easy to get along with, but also difficult to get along with. It all depended on whether they were to one's liking. Once they were to one's liking, everything could be discussed, but once they weren't, they would immediately leave. I thought that the holy maidens were as cold as Empress Shuetong, who didn't show their emotions easily. But it turns out that there are such unruly and willful holy maidens out there, Yun Ruoyan thought. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. Granny Li had come out to summon her. Yun Ruoyan hurriedly gathered her thoughts, lowered her head, and crossed her arms. She stood very straight. She had learned this posture from a passing palace maid, so she should be able to do it well. Seeing Yun Ruoyan's appearance, Mammy Li praised her in her heart. This girl looked silly at first, but I didn't expect her to be honest. But if she wants to serve the saintess well, I'm afraid it's not enough to be honest. Forget it, it's better to find a few more spares during this time. If she is beaten out, she can be replaced. Yun Ruoyan heard Mammy Li sigh slightly. Although she didn't know why she suddenly sighed, she couldn't help but pay more attention in her heart. This saintess certainly couldn't be taken away by common sense. Come in, I'll take you to see the saintess. Mammy Li waved to Yun Ruoyan, and Yun Ruoyan followed her into the big house. The inside of the house was more luxurious, and the walls were almost inlaid with upper-grade spirit stones. To put it bluntly, there were 4 tall spirit stone walls, and the spirit stone walls were decorated with jade and gold. There were even some decorations that Yun Ruoyan couldn't name, but she knew at a glance that they were extremely valuable. In this luxurious house, there was no figure of the saintess. Yun Ruoyan stood in the empty house with Mammy Li. She no longer looked around, nor did she speak. Mammy Li said, "Saintess, I've brought her to you. Come out and have a look. I've seen her. She's very ugly, but I'm very satisfied." She didn't see the legendary person, but she heard her voice. "Mammy Li, you can leave her here, and you can go." "Yes, saintess, I'm leaving." Mammy Li turned around and glanced at Yun Ruoyan. At the same time, she let out an almost inaudible sigh, and then walked away quickly. "What's your name?" When Mammy Li walked out of the big house, the saintess asked. "Saintess, my name is Yun Ruoyan," Yun Ruoyan said. "How dare you?" An unexpected shout rang out. If it had been an ordinary girl, she would have knelt on the ground in fright. Although Yun Ruoyan was also stunned by the sudden shout, it was far from frightening her. "May I ask why I'm so bold, saintess?" Yun Ruoyan asked calmly. "You don't know why you're so bold?" The saintess seemed to be amused by Yun Ruoyan's question. "I don't know." Yun Ruoyan continued to say calmly. "Hello, I'll teach you." The saintess continued, "You just talked to me, but you called yourself me instead of me. Don't you think you're bold?" Yun Ruoyan suddenly understood and immediately said, "I've learned a lesson." "Ha!" The saintess suddenly smiled coldly and said, "You can't learn a lesson. You have to learn a lesson." When Yun Ruoyan heard this, she frowned. Mammy Li mentioned that she should be gentle several times. It seemed that the holy girl wanted to hurt her even before she met her. "Saintess, wait." Before Yun Ruoyan could finish her sentence, she suddenly heard the sound of a gust of wind. When she looked around, she saw that it wasn't the sound of wind, but a series of cold arrows shooting out from the 4 walls. Yun Ruoyan didn't expect that there would be such hidden weapons in the saintess' bedroom. The outside was clearly guarded, so why would there be hidden weapons in the bedroom? Were they guarding against someone, or did they purposely use these concealed weapons just to have fun? Yun Ruoyan didn't have time to find the answer. Her whole body flew into the air, and then she twisted and turned in the air, avoiding the arrows. When the first wave of arrows was shot, Yun Ruoyan landed lightly on her feet and stood firmly in place. "Saintess, I've learned a lesson," Yun Ruoyan said while brushing the non-existent dust on her shoulder. "Humph, you're quite a powerful girl." The saintess sneered, "Wait for me to teach you another lesson." "Master, she wants to set fire." At this time, Cho-Cho, who had been silent, said, "This girl is vicious, and the fire she uses is very strong. Master, you can fight fire with fire." Yun Ruoyan's current fire element cultivation method was taught by the devil dragon ancestor, so the spiritual fire attack she released was many times more powerful than before. Coupled with the improvement of her cultivation, it seemed that it was not a problem to deal with the saintess. But she couldn't really do it. She didn't come here to fight bravely, but to please the saintess. Moreover, Mammy Lee had warned her before that she couldn't use spiritual power here, otherwise the consequences would be very serious. Yun Ruoyan guessed that there might be some kind of prohibition set by the Great Elder of Silver Dragon. Once she used spiritual power, something bad would happen. Before she fully understood the situation, Yun Ruoyan really didn't dare to use spiritual power at will. Saintess, please spare my life. Yun Ruoyan changed her previous calm and fearless attitude. She curled up into a ball and squatted on the ground. Ha! The saintess first uttered a doubtful sound before bursting into laughter. I thought you were a brave girl, but I didn't expect you to be a coward. However, since this saintess has given it out, there is no reason for me to take it back. If you can take this second lesson, you can stay here. Master, be careful to the left. Chiu-Chiu's voice sounded immediately. Yun Ruoyan didn't need to feel or see it all. She just rolled to the right according to Chiu-Chiu's command. With a bang, a tongue of fire licked the place where Yun Ruoyan squatted at first. Yun Ruoyan could clearly see that the flame had come from a mechanism in the left corner of the wall. Previously, it had been the same mechanism that had shot out an arrow, but this time, it was fire that had come out. Yun Ruoyan didn't need to think to know that in addition to these two things, there must be water, poisonous insects, and so on. Although they were all children's tricks, it was really difficult for ordinary people to avoid them. The previous maids must have been beaten away in this way. Chiu-Chiu, I need your help. Yun Ruoyan said after dodging another tongue of fire. Yes, master. How do you want Chiu-Chiu to help you? Yun Ruoyan quickly explained the situation to Chiu-Chiu. Then, when Chiu-Chiu predicted which part of the mechanism was going to spit out flames, Yun Ruoyan didn't dodge. Instead, she pointed her hand at the spot where the flames were about to spit out. What's she trying to do? The saintess, who was hiding in the shadows, couldn't help but stare blankly at Yun Ruoyan's suicidal action. But then she was shocked by the scene in front of her. The tongue of flame was actually absorbed by Yun Ruoyan's palm, and the entire tongue of flame burrowed into her palm. The saintess couldn't help but be shocked by this scene, because she had never seen something like this before. It wasn't unusual to release spiritual fire, but to be able to absorb spiritual fire from the outside world into one's body. While the holy maiden was still in a state of shock, Yun Ruoyan had rushed to the location of a hidden weapon. Just as the hidden weapon was about to release a tongue of flame, Yun Ruoyan took advantage of this tiny opportunity to push her palm towards the hole. The spiritual fire that Chiu-Chiu had swallowed earlier in the bracelet's pocket dimension was spat out in full force. Chapter 475. From the outside, it looked like Yun Ruoyan had released the spiritual fire with her hands. The force of the fire that Chiu-Chiu had spewed was far greater than that of the mechanism itself. The powerful force of the spiritual fire entered the opening of the mechanism and collided with the spiritual fire that was spewed out by the mechanism itself. When the two forces of spiritual fire collided, they immediately produced an explosive force. There was a loud bang coming from the corner of the wall, and the entire palace shook along with it. After the trembling, when it finally calmed down, the holy maiden wanted to continue activating the mechanisms in the dark, but she found that all the mechanisms had failed. At this time, there was a series of footsteps outside, as well as shouts to protect the holy maiden. Then, the door was pushed open, and a pair of guards entered. What happened just now? Where is the holy maiden? The guard leader pointed his sword at Yun Ruoyan and shouted. I don't know what happened just now. Yun Ruoyan immediately transformed into a little bunny. She had originally been squatting in a corner, but now she was curled up into a ball and shivering, as if she had suffered a great shock. The holy maiden, who was hiding in the dark, couldn't help but be angry when she saw Yun Ruoyan's appearance. What kind of demon was this girl? She was even better at acting than she was. But she liked it very much. It seemed that she wouldn't be so bored in this huge palace in the future. Yun Ruoyan didn't know that she had accidentally caught the Holy Maiden's eye and gained her favor. Although she didn't really like her, she had achieved her goal of staying by the Holy Maiden's side. What worried Yun Ruoyan the most was whether the First Elder would be alerted by such a huge commotion. She didn't want to have any close contact with the Silver Dragon at this time. Where's the Holy Maiden? I don't know, I really don't know. Bring her out, the guard leader ordered his subordinates. I'm here. Just then, the voice that wasn't cute at all sounded pleasant. What are you doing? How dare you capture this Holy Maiden's maidservant? Yun Ruoyan lifted her head from her knees and looked at the saintess. She had a head of long silver hair that wasn't inferior to Li Mo's, and it draped over her shoulders. She was about the same height as Yun Ruoyan, and she wore a long, silver muslin dress. She stood very straight, giving off a feeling of sacredness and inviolability. Her back was tense, accentuating her slender neck. Yun Ruoyan was looking at the Holy Maiden from the side. Her gaze traveled all the way up to the Holy Maiden's face, but her line of sight was blocked by the white veil. Yun Ruoyan retracted her gaze. Although this Holy Maiden's appearance and temperament were rare and outstanding, her temper was too strange. Although she looked like a solemn goddess right now, the hidden weapon she had used on Yun Ruoyan just now was a crazy woman, a little demon. Yun Ruoyan felt that they couldn't become best friends. I wouldn't dare, I wouldn't dare. The guard immediately bowed to the Holy Maiden. Just now, we were patrolling when we heard a strange noise, so we came to investigate. Please forgive us for offending you, Holy Maiden. This saintess was just doing some cultivation. Isn't it normal to make strange noises? The saintess said disapprovingly. It's fine now. You can all leave. Yes, your subordinates will take their leave. The moment the guard heard this, he immediately bowed and retreated. He felt extremely lucky. Wait. The Holy Maiden's voice suddenly rang out from behind the guards. Yun Ruoyan could clearly see the guards tremble imperceptibly. Holy Maiden, Your Highness, do you have any other instructions? The guard turned around and asked. Today's matter is just a small matter. I don't want this matter to reach the Great Elder's ears. He is very busy every day, so don't disturb him over such a small matter. The saintess was still standing there in a very dignified and solemn manner, and her tone was also very solemn. Yes, Your Highness. All right, you may leave. Only then did the guards feel as if they had received a special pardon, and they couldn't help but quicken their footsteps. Your name is Yun Ruoyan. The Holy Maiden turned around and looked at Yun Ruoyan, who was still curled up in the corner. Yun Ruoyan still had a pitiful look on her face. Stop pretending. This saintess saw how powerful you were just now. The Holy Maiden took a step toward Yun Ruoyan and casually squatted on the ground. Looking at Yun Ruoyan, her previous dignified demeanor was long gone with the wind. All right. Yun Ruoyan also casually leaned against the wall and rested her legs. Just now, she hadn't used any of her cultivation to fight against the mechanism, and it had really made her a little tired. I have so many maidservants, but you're the most unruly one, the Holy Maiden said. Yun Ruoyan glanced at the Holy Maiden who was squatting on the ground and said, although I haven't seen many holy maidservants, from the looks of it, you're probably the most unruly of them all. Yun Ruoyan had already grasped the Holy Maiden's unpredictable personality, so the words she spoke were also in accordance with her personality. Sure enough, when she heard Yun Ruoyan's words, she was stunned at first, and then she laughed. Her laughter was like a silver bell, very pleasant to the ear. You're quite an interesting person. I didn't expect that there would be such a fun person like you in the Dragon Castle, the Holy Maiden said. Holy Maiden, Yun Ruoyan said. I'm not from the Dragon Castle. Granny Lee brought me here from outside the Dragon Castle. My home is in the Silver Dragon City, not the Dragon Castle. Oh, I see. The Holy Maiden's eyes immediately lit up. No wonder. The people in the Dragon Castle are too boring, but the people in the Silver Dragon City are a little more interesting. Granny Lee did a good job this time. You're ugly, but your temperament suits my taste. I'll keep you. Yun Ruoyan stayed in the Holy Maiden's palace. Once you met someone with an eccentric and unconventional personality, it was actually easy to get along with her. Although the Holy Maiden looked cold on the outside, she was actually like a child on the inside. Because she had been imprisoned for so long, she was filled with curiosity about the outside world, and would often chase after Yun Ruoyan to tell her about the outside world. Yun Ruoyan actually didn't know much about the Silver Dragon City, but she was experienced and knowledgeable enough to tell her stories about the Qinyuan continent and the Heiyuan continent. She would add a little more spice to the story, and the Holy Maiden was actually able to fool her. You're not from the Silver Dragon City, are you? The Holy Maiden suddenly asked after waking up from her stupor. What's wrong? Why would you ask? Yun Ruoyan asked. Although I've been trapped in the Dragon Castle since I was young, I've sneaked out to play. I've been to many places in the Silver Dragon City, but many of the places you mentioned aren't from the city. I'm actually a vagabond, Yun Ruoyan said. I'm a street performer. I know that. I've seen these people in the Silver Dragon City. Although their cultivations aren't high, they're very agile. The Holy Maiden suddenly understood. No wonder you're so agile, and you were able to dodge my traps so easily. That's right. Yun Ruoyan was very satisfied with the Holy Maiden's imagination. She smiled proudly. I'm really good at juggling. Oh, right, I forgot to ask you. How did you manage to swallow fire with your palms? Was it a juggling act too? Of course. Yun Ruoyan immediately replied. At first, I thought that you were so powerful because you cultivated some kind of superior cultivation method. How could that be? If I were that amazing, why would I be a servant in the Dragon Castle? Yun Ruoyan exclaimed, I had a companion who could even swallow fire with his mouth and eyes. Ah! The Holy Maiden's interest was immediately piqued. There's actually someone who can swallow fire with their eyes. That's right. If there's a chance, I'll take you to see. Yun Ruoyan had successfully piqued the Holy Maiden's interest. Yun Ruoyan was waiting for the Holy Maiden to say, okay, we'll go right away. Recently, the First Elder has been keeping a tight watch on my movements. Previously, I'd been able to find opportunities to go out and play, but now, I can't. I haven't left this palace for more than half a year. Yun Ruoyan could tell that the Holy Maiden really wanted to go out and play, but she was being watched so closely that she couldn't. Yun Ruoyan didn't dare say that she would take her out. After all, she'd only just entered the Dragon Castle, and she and the Holy Maiden were only on speaking terms. She was far from being able to fully trust her. As a result, if she were to rush things now, the Holy Maiden would be wary and distrust her. Ah, that's a pity. Yun Ruoyan sighed. The Holy Maiden's daily routine was to have someone take care of her, and Yun Ruoyan's job was to accompany the Holy Maiden. Unknowingly, Yun Ruoyan had been in the Dragon Castle for 3 days. On the second day, Li Mo contacted her. Li Mo was now a member of the patrol team. Sometimes, Yun Ruoyan would urge the Holy Maiden to go for a walk. At that time, she would see Li Mo, dressed in a guard's uniform, walking with a solemn expression. Every time she saw such a scene, Yun Ruoyan found it funny. Yun Ruoyan was afraid that she would never see such a Li Mo again in her lifetime. Li Mo would always walk past Yun Ruoyan, because he didn't need to look to know that Yun Ruoyan was smiling mischievously. Xiao Yun. The holy maiden, who was walking in front, suddenly called out to Yun Ruoyan. "Hey, holy maiden, I'm here." Yun Ruoyan quickly caught up with the holy maiden. "Xiao Yun, have you taken a fancy to the guards here?" the holy maiden asked Yun Ruoyan. "What?" Yun Ruoyan was stunned. Had she been too obvious? She'd only smiled at Liemo, and he'd already noticed her. "No, no." Yun Ruoyan hurriedly waved her hands. "I just thought they were handsome, so I took a few more glances. I'm so ugly, how could I be worthy of the guards here?" "Nonsense," the holy maiden said. "Although you're not beautiful, you're the holy maiden's maidservant. You're worthy of all the guards here." Yun Ruoyan was extremely touched when she heard this. If this continued, she might not have the heart to kidnap the holy maiden. "Holy maiden." Suddenly, an unfamiliar male voice came from the front. "Holy maiden, you're really in a good mood today. You actually came out for a stroll in the garden." Before Yun Ruoyan could see the person's face clearly, she heard the holy maiden snort. Chapter 476. The newcomer was a young man with silver hair, but the purity of his hair was clearly inferior to the holy maiden's. However, of all the people Yun Ruoyan had seen so far, only Limo's hair was as pure as the holy maiden's. In order not to attract attention, Yun Ruoyan had also dyed Limo's hair silver gray before entering the castle. "Holy maiden, how about we have a stroll together?" The man walked quickly toward the holy maiden and Yun Ruoyan. The holy maiden stood motionless, and Yun Ruoyan stood behind her, watching as the man walked toward them like a spring breeze. "Yin Xiao, why are you here?" the holy maiden asked coldly. "Didn't I explain things to the first elder last time clearly enough?" Yin Xiao directly ignored the holy maiden's anger and said, "Father has already punished me the last time. He punished me by confining me at home for a whole month, so that's the end of the matter. Holy maiden, don't be so vengeful. After all, we're family." Yun Ruoyan could feel Yin Xiao's gaze subconsciously on her as he spoke. At first, she had lowered her head, but his gaze was so unbearable that it was obvious he was up to no good, so she raised her head and looked back. Her small eyes, flat nose, and thick lips gave Yin Xiao quite a fright. He couldn't help but cry out in pain and cover his eyes with his hands, as if something had stung his eyes. The holy maiden turned to look at Yun Ruoyan, then at Yin Xiao's reaction. She couldn't help but smile. "What's wrong? Are you all right? Holy maiden, where did you find a maidservant who looks like this?" Yin Xiao continued to cover his eyes as he pointed at Yun Ruoyan. "What's wrong with my maidservant?" The leftover woman disapprovingly said, "This is my favorite among all the maidservants. This saintess will use this maidservant in the future. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first, and you'd better not come here too often." After the holy maiden finished speaking, she left without looking back. Yun Ruoyan followed behind the holy maiden. After a few steps, she felt someone staring at her from behind. She turned around abruptly and happened to meet Yin Xiao's gaze. Yin Xiao cried out in pain and covered his eyes with his hands. Yun Ruoyan followed the saintess thoughtfully. When Yin Xiao heard the footsteps disappear, he removed his hand from his eyes and said to himself, "Her figure is so beautiful, how did she grow up to be like that? It's really an eyesore. This saintess definitely did it on purpose. Damn, I will probably have nightmares tonight. Humph. Do you think you can scare me like this? I'll definitely let you know how powerful I am." After Yin Xiao finished speaking, he flicked his sleeves and left. Just as Yun Ruoyan followed the holy maiden far away, a coquettish laugh came from the holy maiden's mouth. "It's really interesting. Did you see how Yin Hao reacted just now? It's really interesting. Is that Long Xiao the first elder's son?" That Long Shao really is audacious. He even dared to touch the maidservant by the holy maiden's side, and what's worse is that the first elder is so protective of him. Fortunately, I still have the title of Holy Maiden, so this demon wouldn't dare do anything to me. The Holy Maiden sighed. But for this title, I have to give up my freedom and happiness. There's one thing I don't understand, Yun Ruoyan said. If the Holy Maiden has such a high status, why doesn't she have any real power at all? In fact, the Holy Maiden used to have a lot of power. Our power was only lower than that of the first elder. But then something happened that almost completely deprived the Holy Maiden of her power. Yun Ruoyan learned from the Holy Maiden that more than 100 years ago, the previous Holy Maiden left the extreme abyss continent without permission and went to a lower continent, never to return. At that time, the entire Silver Dragon clan was furious because of this incident. From then on, the Holy Maiden only had a title, but no real power. Yun Ruoyan knew that the Holy Maiden who left 100 years ago must be Empress Shuetong. What surprised Yun Ruoyan was the Holy Maiden's next words. She said enviously, the previous Holy Maiden was really brave and courageous. If only I could be like her and escape the shackles in front of me. Yun Ruoyan's heart skipped a beat. If you were given a chance, would you really be willing to give up your current position? Why wouldn't I be? The Holy Maiden smiled bitterly. I've been confined here for half of my life. If there's a chance to completely escape, I'd be willing to die. The Holy Maiden said that although their status seemed high, it was only because of the Holy Maiden's name, not because of her person. Now, all the power of the Silver Dragon clan was in the hands of the First Elder, and the Holy Maiden was nothing more than a puppet in his hands. If he wanted to cripple her, a new Holy Maiden would soon appear. According to the Holy Maiden, even if Yun Ruoyan and the others kidnapped her, she wouldn't be able to threaten the First Elder. However, a new target had appeared, and this Holy Maiden had the potential to become his partner. Yun Ruoyan believed that, with the Holy Maiden's help, it wouldn't be difficult to lure Silver Howl out of the Dragon Castle. Yun Ruoyan had a plan in mind, but she wasn't in a hurry to carry it out. She decided to discuss it with Li Mo first before making a final decision. Over the past few days, Li Mo hadn't been idle either. Yun Ruoyan was in charge of following the Holy Maiden of the Silver Dragon clan, while Li Mo was in charge of searching for the dragon's roar and finding a way to get close to the holy shrine. Just as the demon spirit had said, the guards around the palace were not only strict, but each one was a master. Li Mo wasn't confident that he could sneak into the palace under their noses. Even if he managed to sneak in, even the demon spirit wouldn't be able to escape, so naturally, Li Mo wouldn't be able to either. He couldn't take this risk. Obtaining the holy water and Empress Shuetong's body had reached an impasse, but Li Mo had some clues as to the whereabouts of Yun Ruoyan's father, Long Yin. Once, he had accidentally overheard a conversation between the higher-ups of the guards. They said that there was a secret prison in the Dragon Castle, where some alien criminals were imprisoned. Although Li Mo hadn't heard the specific names of the criminals, his intuition told him that Yun Ruoyan's father, his father-in-law, was imprisoned there. Deep into the night, the Holy Maiden had already fallen asleep, and it was time for Li Mo's patrol team to change shifts. According to their prior agreement, Li Mo snuck into Yun Ruoyan's room. As the Holy Maiden's personal maidservant, Yun Ruoyan had her own private room. The two of them missed each other very much, especially when Li Mo had been able to see Yun Ruoyan these past few days, but he couldn't touch her. Yun Ruoyan was always smiling at him, which made him very angry. So when Li Mo jumped in through the window, Yun Ruoyan had just stood up from the bed, and before she could even call out his name, she was pulled into his arms like a gust of wind. Li Mo only kissed Yun Ruoyan fiercely, not daring to touch her, because there was now a baby in her belly. Li Mo gently placed his hand on Yun Ruoyan's belly. "Is the little fellow still behaving?" Yun Ruoyan smiled. "It's only been a little more than a month, and I haven't felt anything yet." Liamo also laughed because of his own anxiousness. Ever since he became a father, Liamo had fallen in love with the feeling of being a father, especially the feeling of holding the newborn in his arms, which gave him a special sense of accomplishment. By the way, I have something very important to tell you, Yunruoyan said as she sat up from Liamo's arms. I also have something very important to tell you, Liamo said. You go first. Chapter 477. Liamo, I've discovered that the Holy Maiden can't be used to threaten the First Elder, Yunruoyan began. What do you mean? Liamo frowned. Yunruoyan told Liamo everything that had transpired. If we want to threaten the First Elder, we can make use of Silver Howl, Yunruoyan began. Next, I'll try to rope in the Holy Maiden. With her help, capturing Silver Howl shouldn't be a difficult task. All right. Liamo thought for a moment. I'll inform the demon spirit and have them make preparations. Yunruoyan turned to Liamo once she was done. What have you discovered these past few days? Liamo looked at Yunruoyan. I've discovered traces of your father, Long Yin. Yunruoyan's eyes immediately lit up, and she tightened her grip on Liamo's hand. Where's my father now? Yunruoyan's voice trembled. In a secret prison within the dragon castle. Liamo patted Yunruoyan's hand. I haven't found out the exact location of the prison yet, but I'll continue investigating. Liamo, be careful, Yunruoyan warned. Anything related to secrets was bound to be dangerous. Although Yunruoyan was eager to see her father, she didn't want Liamo to be in danger. I'll be careful. Liamo looked at Yunruoyan's flat abdomen. You, on the other hand, aren't you alone? Don't do anything dangerous, and remember that I'm here for you, understand? I understand. Yunruoyan nodded. Although they had been husband and wife for many years, the warmth and care they had for each other had never changed. That day, Yunruoyan accompanied the Holy Maiden in the Great Hall to relieve her boredom. During this time, she had taught the Holy Maiden how to play chess and dice, and the two of them would play these games to pass the time. The Holy Maiden seemed to be in a bad mood, as if she were worried about something. When Yunruoyan asked her about it, she said that she was fine. However, Yunruoyan could clearly hear the Holy Maiden muttering to herself that it was time again, and then she let out a long sigh. Checkmate. Yunruoyan said with a smile, Holy Maiden, you've lost. You're not allowed to go back on your word on 100 top-grade spiritual stones. Sigh. I lost again. I don't want to play anymore, the saintess said with a lack of interest. At this moment, without any warning, the Great Elder suddenly appeared. When the palace maids outside announced the arrival of the First Elder, both Yunruoyan and the Holy Maiden's expressions changed at the same time. Yunruoyan calmed down even faster than the Holy Maiden. She tugged at the Holy Maiden and whispered, Let's hurry up and receive him. Yunruoyan looked at the Holy Maiden's panicked expression and was quite surprised. Based on her interactions with the Holy Maiden during this period of time, Yunruoyan felt that the Holy Maiden wasn't a cowardly person. Why would she be so frightened when the First Elder came? Greetings, Great Elder. The Holy Maiden bowed to the Great Elder. Yunruoyan followed behind her and bowed with her head lowered. Her voice was very soft, and she had completely concealed her cultivation aura, making her presence as low as possible. Rise. The Great Elder's gaze swept over Yunruoyan's body. I heard from Yin Shao that you've changed maids again. The Holy Maiden clearly hadn't expected the Great Elder to suddenly ask about such a small matter. She paused for a moment before replying, Yes, yes. Yun, come and greet the Great Elder. The Holy Maiden instructed Yunruoyan. Yunruoyan could only step forward and greet the Great Elder once more. Raise your head. The Great Elder's voice rang out above Yunruoyan's head. Yun Ruoyan held her breath and slowly raised her head to look at the great elder. This was the first time Yun Ruoyan had seen him so closely. In the past, she had only seen him from afar through the mirror. He was tall and thin, and he looked like a middle-aged man. His long silver hair fell to his shoulders, and his expression was as rigid as if it had been carved by a knife. The two creases on his face made him look even more stern. His entire being exuded a cold, murderous aura. When the great elder saw Yun Ruoyan looking at him quietly, his silver eyebrows twitched. This maidservant is indeed different from the others. Other than his own son, Yun Ruoyan was the only maidservant in the entire dragon castle who could look at him like this. As soon as Yun Ruoyan heard this, she seemed to be startled awake. Her legs gave way, and she knelt in front of the great elder, trembling as she prostrated herself on the ground. Great elder, this maidservant of mine is not that smart and nimble. Just now, it must have been because she saw you for the first time and was intimidated by your might. Now that she has reacted, she is frightened to death, the saintess hurriedly said. The great elder finally shifted his gaze away from Yun Ruoyan, no longer paying her any attention. Holy maiden, I haven't interfered too much with what you do on a daily basis, but don't forget the day of the ceremony, the great elder reminded her. I wouldn't dare. The day of the ceremony is the day after tomorrow. I won't forget it, the great elder replied respectfully. The holy maiden replied respectfully, but for some reason, Yun Ruoyan could clearly hear a hint of resistance in her tone. That's good. The great elder turned to leave, his voice ringing out once more. Don't forget that this is the meaning of your existence. When the great elder's silhouette disappeared through the palace gates, the holy maiden's legs gave way, and she almost fell to the ground. Yun Ruoyan, who had already stood up, reached out to support her. Holy maiden, are you all right? Yun Ruoyan helped the holy maiden sit down on a chair. Is the ceremony such a scary thing? Why are you so afraid? Yun Ruoyan didn't dare to pay too much attention to the great elder, lest he discover her presence. Instead, she focused all of her attention on the holy maiden. She had clearly become nervous after the great elder had brought up the matter of the ceremony. The holy maiden grabbed Yun Ruoyan's hand and whispered in a trembling voice, "The ceremony is a very frightening thing. It's my greatest nightmare as a holy maiden." What nightmare? What's going on? Yun Ruoyan pressed. The holy maiden shook her head and didn't speak. After a while, she suddenly turned to Yun Ruoyan and said, "The ceremony is the day after tomorrow. Can you accompany me?" "Yes, I'm your personal maidservant. As long as you allow me to accompany you, I'm naturally willing to do so," Yun Ruoyan replied without hesitation. Yun Ruoyan said without hesitation. She realized that this wasn't a simple ritual, and there had to be a demon behind it. She wanted to see what kind of demon could scare the holy maiden so badly. Xiao Yun. The holy maiden looked at Yun Ruoyan gratefully. I don't want to lie to you. The ceremony really is a frightening thing. In the past, I had 3 very bold maidservants participate in the ceremony with me, but they were all frightened. If you're afraid, you can go back on your word. The holy maiden's words piqued Yun Ruoyan's curiosity even more, but she suddenly thought of the child in her womb and hesitated. Holy maiden, my cultivation is too low. If you encounter any danger, I won't be able to protect you. Won't I be a burden if you bring me along? That won't be the case. We'll be under very strict protection, and we won't be harmed by the outside world. With the holy maiden's affirmation, Yun Ruoyan relaxed. Since there won't be any danger, I'll accompany you. There's nothing to be afraid of. Although Yun Ruoyan was almost the mother of 2 children, she was only in her early 20s. The holy maiden, on the other hand, was at least 100 years old. However, at this moment, she was like a weak little sister, relying on Yun Ruoyan's protection. Yun Ruoyan told Liemo about the ceremony, and when he heard about it, he said that he was thinking of a way to become a guard for the ceremony. In this way, Yunruoyan no longer had any worries. Soon, the day of the ceremony arrived. On this day, the Holy Maiden and Yunruoyan both put on holy, silver-white robes, and were led to the sacred shrine by a few maidservants dressed in the same silver robes. The ceremony wasn't very grand, and Yunruoyan felt like a small memorial service. She accompanied the Holy Maiden and completed the entire ceremony. When the people present began to leave, Yunruoyan began to feel a little confused. Holy Maiden, is this the end of the ceremony? There's nothing to be afraid of, is there? Yunruoyan asked softly. It's just the beginning, the Holy Maiden replied in a small, trembling voice. Yunruoyan couldn't help but glance at the Holy Maiden. When she saw that her face was abnormally pale, she knew that the frightening thing she had mentioned was about to happen. Everyone left the shrine, but the Holy Maiden and Yunruoyan were asked to stay behind. As it turned out, the Silver Dragon clan had another rule. After the ceremony, the Holy Maiden had to pray for the ancestors in the shrine for an entire night, and Yunruoyan, as the Holy Maiden's personal maidservant, was allowed to accompany her. Yunruoyan saw Liemo at the ceremony, but he had no choice but to leave with the crowd. Soon, only the Holy Maiden and Yunruoyan were left in the vast shrine. Night quickly fell, and the Holy Maiden grew increasingly nervous. However, no matter how Yunruoyan asked her what would happen next, or why she was so afraid, the Holy Maiden refused to say. It wasn't that she didn't want to tell Yunruoyan, but that she simply didn't want to describe it to Yunruoyan. Yun, don't ask any more. You'll know in a moment, the Holy Maiden said. When night completely enveloped the shrine, all the lamps in the shrine lit up one by one, illuminating the entire space as if it were daytime. Although there were many ancestral tablets placed in front of the shrine, as well as some lifelike silver dragon sculptures, Yunruoyan wasn't afraid of them. Time's up. Yunruoyan heard the Holy Maiden stand up from her mat, and Yunruoyan stood up with her. At this moment, there was no longer any trace of fear on the Holy Maiden's face. It was unknown if she was faking it or if there was some other reason. In short, her face was cold and numb. There was no trace of nervousness or fear from before. It was as if she had suddenly become a different person. Chapter 478. Holy Maiden, what's the matter? Yunruoyan asked. Time's up. The Holy Maiden turned to look at Yunruoyan. Yunruoyan found that even her eyes had turned cold and numb. Then, a series of footsteps sounded, getting closer and closer. The first elder walked out from behind the curtains. He was alone. Yunruoyan stood behind the Holy Maiden, standing as straight as she was. The first elder didn't notice Yunruoyan. The only reason he'd agreed to have the maidservant accompany the Holy Maiden was because of the Holy Maiden's insistence. Later, because of the precedent, he'd had someone accompany her to complete the important tasks that were to come. If anything happened to Yunruoyan, he'd just have to get rid of her like before. This wouldn't be much trouble for the first elder. Holy Maiden, are you ready? The elder's cold voice rang out. I'm ready. The Holy Maiden's voice was cold and numb, not at all like the person Yunruoyan knew. The first elder nodded, then walked toward the altar filled with countless memorial tablets. He reached out to touch a silver dragon-shaped sculpture by the side of the altar, and Yunruoyan could clearly see his hands digging into the dragon's eyes. Then, the entire altar trembled, and a crack appeared in the middle of the altar. The crack grew larger and larger, until it formed a door. Come in, the first elder said to the Holy Maiden. The first elder instructed the silver dragon Holy Maiden. The Holy Maiden walked into the fissure without looking around, and Yunruoyan followed closely behind. As soon as she entered, Yunruoyan felt a familiar aura, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. The entrance was connected to a passageway that glowed red. Their silver robes were stained by the red light, as if they were stained with blood. It was an indescribably strange sight. As they went deeper, that familiar feeling became clearer and clearer. Yun Ruoyan couldn't help but feel excited, because that familiar feeling came from the resonance of the demonic dragon's bloodline. There seemed to be only one explanation for the presence of the demonic dragon's bloodline in the Silver Dragon Temple. Yun Ruoyan's father, the inheritor of the demonic dragon's bloodline, Long Yin, was imprisoned here. Roar! A dragon's roar suddenly came from the depths of the tunnel, causing the entire tunnel to tremble. Yun Ruoyan saw the holy maiden in front of her suddenly tremble. At first, Yun Ruoyan didn't know why the holy maiden had suddenly become numb and cold, but now she had a guess. The holy maiden hadn't really become numb and cold, but rather, she was faking her current state. She used this to suppress the fear in her heart and to confuse the great elder. The first elder was walking in front of them and couldn't see what was happening. Yun Ruoyan reached out and patted the holy maiden's back, trying to comfort her. The holy maiden paused for a moment, then looked at Yun Ruoyan expressionlessly before continuing forward. After walking for less than 10 steps, the red light shone brightly, and the few of them arrived at a rather large space that seemed to be carved out of stone. In the center of this huge space was a similarly large stone pillar. Many people were tied up densely on the stone pillars. They were all skinny from the waist up. Some of them even looked like skeletons. Demonic dragon bloodline. Yun Ruoyan's heart pounded as she looked at the scene in front of her. Everyone here has the demonic dragon bloodline. Because they shared the same bloodline, Yun Ruoyan could sense that all of these people had the same demonic dragon bloodline as she did. Holy Maiden, let's begin. The Silver Dragon Elder turned to the Holy Maiden. The Holy Maiden slowly relaxed her clenched fists. She then walked up to the Great Elder's side. In front of her was the large stone pillar, as well as the hundreds of people tied up on it. Yun Ruoyan saw the Holy Maiden open her arms and make a strange gesture. Then, her hands joined together to form a complicated seal, which she then pointed at the stone pillar. The entire stone pillar was instantly lit up, and the originally lifeless stone vaguely revealed countless crisscrossing vein-like substances, each of which was connected to a person's body. The Holy Maiden began to chant an incantation that Yun Ruoyan couldn't understand. All of the veins seemed to come alive, and they began to furiously absorb the blood of the people tied up on the stone pillars. As the fresh blood was sucked into the veins, the people on the stone pillars let out angry, fearful, and unwilling screams. Some of the screams sounded like throat-tearing wails, while others sounded like the deep, sorrowful roars of a dragon. Following the incessant sounds, the people on the stone pillars began to twitch. The hundreds of people tied to the stone pillars were twitching and howling at the same time. Due to the twitching, their bodies collided with the stone pillars. It was as if they were undergoing the cruelest torture in hell. Yun Ruoyan's eyes widened as she looked at the scene in front of her. At the same time, she tried her best to control the raging demonic dragon bloodline in her body. If she lost control even the slightest bit, she would rush out and stop this from happening. However, Yun Ruoyan's rationality told her that if she lost control and did so, not only would she not be able to save anyone here, she would also be unable to protect herself and the child in her womb. Yun Ruoyan clawed at her palms until they were dripping with blood. Only then did she restrain her impulse. Some of the people tied up on the stone pillars suddenly turned to dust and dissipated. Yun Ruoyan heard the first elder mutter to himself, "These blood cows are getting weaker and weaker, and they'll soon run out of blood. We'll have to hurry and find the demonic dragon bloodline." As soon as he finished speaking, another dozen or so people were sucked dry and turned to dust. Yun Ruoyan began to search for Long Yin's figure on the stone pillars. Although she had never seen him in person, she had seen him more than once in her dreams. Yun Ruoyan believed that as long as she saw her father, she would definitely be able to recognize him. However, there were simply too many people on the stone pillar, and she couldn't quickly tell which of them was her father. She couldn't help but worry that Long Yin might have been one of the people who had been drained of their blood. That's enough. The great elder finally ordered the saintess to stop her chanting. The saintess finally stopped chanting, and her body went limp as she sat on the ground. Her whole body was trembling, and it was unknown whether it was because she was frightened, or because activating the stone pillar's meridians consumed too much energy. The people on the stone pillars had stopped convulsing, but all of them were even more shriveled than before. Those who hadn't died were only hanging on to their last breaths, as if they would turn to dust at any moment. However, that was a form of relief, and it was much better than going through the pain of having their blood drawn again. Long Yin, are you still alive? The first elder suddenly shouted at the stone pillar. If you're still alive, answer me. If you're dead, I'll have to find your child to take your place, heh heh heh. Silver Dragon, of course I'm still alive. A man's weak, low voice came from the stone pillar. As soon as Yun Ruoyan heard this voice, her entire body trembled. She hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice. The entire stone pillar had turned into a faint red, translucent blood jade. In the center of the blood jade was a figure, and the voice had come from that figure. In other words, it was Long Yin. Yun Ruoyan stared at the figure with wide eyes. She opened her mouth slightly, but no sound came out. The silver dragon continued, "You're still alive, very good. It's all thanks to you that my blood array has been able to survive for so many years. I hope that you'll continue to live well, and perhaps you'll be able to meet your daughter and grandson." What did you say? My grandson? Long Yin asked agitatedly. Yes, your grandson, the silver dragon replied. The silver dragon replied, not only did your daughter marry and give birth to a child, she even married someone with the bloodline of my silver dragon. The child she gave birth to has both the powerful bloodlines of the demonic dragon and the silver dragon. It's very likely that the art of immortality that I've been searching for is hidden in that little child. I'll definitely obtain him at all costs. When that time comes, you two will be reunited, ha ha ha. Silver Dragon, if you have any problems, come at me. Don't hurt the child. Long Yin shouted angrily. You're far too worthless, the Silver Dragon replied disdainfully. The Silver Dragon said disdainfully, based on the current situation, you'll turn into a dried corpse and turn into ashes like them in less than 2 years. Silver Dragon, you'll suffer retribution, you'll suffer retribution. Retribution, heh, retribution only falls on the incompetent, just like you. The Silver Dragon pointed mockingly at the man on the stone pillar. And you, all of you, are suffering retribution for your incompetence. Enjoy yourselves. Ha ha ha. Yun Ruoyan supported the Holy Maiden and followed behind the first elder. The moment they entered the tunnel, Yun Ruoyan looked back at the stone pillar, which had already dimmed, and thought, Father, wait for me. I'll be back to save you soon. Walking out of the altar, Yun Ruoyan and the Holy Maiden both felt weak all over, and it was difficult for them to even stand. The first elder looked at the Holy Maiden coolly, then at Yun Ruoyan. You're not bad. Follow the Holy Maiden well, and in the future, accompany her to all the rituals. Thank you, First Elder, Yun Ruoyan said with difficulty. The First Elder nodded and left. Yun Ruoyan and the Holy Maiden didn't leave the shrine until the sun rose, and they returned to the palace where they lived. Holy Maiden, what was that place, and who were the people whose blood was extracted? Yun Ruoyan asked carefully as she wiped the Holy Maiden's hands and face with a warm towel. The Holy Maiden's eyes had been closed at first, but when Yun Ruoyan asked, she opened them immediately. That's a secret of the Silver Dragons. If I tell you, you'll become a part of it, and you'll never be able to escape. I'm not afraid, Yun Ruoyan replied. Yun Ruoyan replied, when I went to that place today and saw those things, I couldn't get away. I'm sorry. The holy maiden looked at Yun Ruoyan apologetically. I was too scared by myself, so I brought you along to give me courage, but I ended up dragging you down with me. Holy maiden, you don't need to apologize, Yun Ruoyan replied. Yun Ruoyan replied, I just want to know what happened today. In any case, I'm in the same boat as you, so you should at least let me die in peace, right? All right. The saintess sighed and said, I'll tell you everything I know. Chapter 479. The holy maiden told Yun Ruoyan that after she became the holy maiden, she would be required to enter the secret prison where many of those with the demonic dragon's bloodline were imprisoned. What she had to do was activate the blood array on the stone pillars and absorb the blood of those people. Yun Ruoyan asked why the first elder didn't activate the formation himself, but rather wanted her to. In Yun Ruoyan's opinion, the holy maiden wasn't working with the first elder of her own volition. She had been forced into it, and Yun Ruoyan had no choice but to believe that she hated this so-called blood formation. Because activating the blood formation requires one to bear the wrath, hatred, grief, and indescribable dark emotions of those trapped within it. This can drive one mad, or even insane, and no one is willing to bear it themselves, the holy maiden explained. Even my maids couldn't stand the corrosion of the resentment just by following behind me. I didn't expect you to be so unaffected. Of course, Yun Ruoyan could feel the resentment as well, but perhaps because she also possessed the demonic dragon bloodline, the resentment didn't cause her any actual harm. Then do you know what the first elder wants the blood for? Yun Ruoyan changed the subject. To refine holy water, the holy maiden replied. Yun Ruoyan had already guessed this from what she knew. Human blood to refine holy water. Yun Ruoyan clenched her fists. The holy water that the silver dragon elders used to prolong their lives contained her father's blood. The last person I heard was the first elder talking to someone. Do you know who that person was? What use does he have? The holy maiden had been in a state of mental exhaustion ever since she had been released from the secret prison, and she didn't doubt Yun Ruoyan at all. She answered every question, as if she were venting her frustrations. Every time she answered a question, her expression would soften a little. I learned that person's name and identity from the first elder's conversation with him, the holy maiden began. His name is Long Yin, and he comes from a low-level continent called the Qinyuan continent. He possesses a relatively pure demonic dragon bloodline, so the first elder used him as the eye of the blood formation. The holy maiden also told Yun Ruoyan that the dragon's roar could actually end his pain. As long as he committed suicide, not only would he be able to relieve his pain, but he would also be able to paralyze the entire blood formation. However, the first elder had threatened him that if he committed suicide, the first elder would capture the child he had left behind on the Qinyuan continent and have him take his place, suffering the pain he was currently experiencing. In order to protect his child, Long Yin had no choice but to endure until now. She was touched, angry, and heartbroken for her father, all at the same time. The great elder is a devil. Yun Ruoyan couldn't help but ask. She then looked at the saintess. Are you going to continue being his accomplice? The saintess opened her eyes and said helplessly, I don't want to. That feeling of being corroded by resentment is a nightmare that I've always wanted to get rid of, but I can't because I'm the saintess. Are you unwilling to give up your position as a holy maiden? Yun Ruoyan asked coldly. The saintess shook her head. I just can't get rid of it unless I anger the great elder and have her abolish my title of saintess. But if that happens, I'm afraid my situation will be worse than it is now. What if I can help you? Are you willing to take the risk to get rid of your current predicament? Yun Ruoyan asked. The saintess frowned at Yun Ruoyan, and her eyes met Yun Ruoyan's sparkling gaze. She had always thought that Yun Ruoyan was an average-looking, even slightly ugly, nimble, and kind-hearted silver dragon girl. However, someone who could say those words and have eyes as bright as the stars couldn't be ordinary. Who are you? Tell me. The saintess demanded. Ruoyan felt that now was the time to rope the saintess in, but at the same time, she was prepared to launch a sneak attack. If she revealed her true identity and was betrayed by the saintess, she wouldn't hesitate to subdue or kill her to protect herself. Everything would depend on the saintess' choice. My name is Yun Ruoyan, and I come from the Qinyuan continent. The person in the eye of the blood formation is my father, Yun Ruoyan said slowly. I'm here to save my father. The saintess stared blankly for a moment, clearly needing time to digest Yun Ruoyan's words. To tell you the truth, Yun Ruoyan continued, at first, I wanted to use you to blackmail the first elder and achieve my goals. But later, I discovered that you're also a victim, and that's why I'm telling you my story. If you're willing, I and my companions can help you get out of your current predicament and give you the freedom you want. You have companions? The saintess exclaimed. I've never heard of anyone from a low-tier continent being able to break into the dragon castle. Of course I can't do it alone, so I have companions. You have to believe that since I've made a promise to you, I have the ability to do it. If I don't agree, will you kill me? The saintess asked. I won't. Yun Ruoyan smiled. As long as you don't do anything too extreme to hurt me, I won't hurt you. I have a way to make you forget our conversation before I leave. Yun Ruoyan believed that with her current cultivation, it would be easy for her to use a bewitching powder on the saintess. Let me think about it, the saintess finally said. That night, Yun Ruoyan told Liemo about what she had seen in the dungeon, as well as how she had tried to rope the saintess to her side. Do you think the saintess will agree to cooperate with us? Liemo asked. It's very likely, Yun Ruoyan replied. Her disgust for her current predicament isn't an act. If she agrees to cooperate with us, many things will be much easier to accomplish. The next day, the saintess gave Yun Ruoyan her own opinion and agreed to cooperate with her. What should we do next? The saintess asked. Perhaps because she had seen a new lease on life, the saintess seemed a little excited and impatient. Can you think of a way to lure Silverhall outside? We can use it to threaten the first elder. Luring him out isn't difficult, but I can't leave right now. The first elder has tightened his restrictions on me, the saintess replied awkwardly. Yun Ruoyan thought for a moment. We can create a disturbance in the dragon castle to distract the first elder. What do you want to do? I want to enter the sacred palace to take a look, Yun Ruoyan replied. At night, when the palace was most heavily guarded, it would be difficult for Liemo and Yun Ruoyan to enter without exposing themselves. However, there was an opportunity during the day. The saintess told Yun Ruoyan that every time after the sacrificial ceremony, there would be a major cleanup, and tomorrow would be the day of the cleanup. Every day, in the morning, the guards would change shifts. Liemo blended in with the guards, and with the saintess's help, Yun Ruoyan easily became a member of the cleanup crew. At noon the next day, Yun Ruoyan followed behind a group of 7 or 8 palace maids. After exchanging a glance with Liemo, she walked into the sacred palace. There are many restrictions here. You can't just barge in, understand? A slightly older palace maid ordered the crowd, you, go over there. You guys go over there. You. The palace maid pointed at Yun Ruoyan. Go over there. This palace maid was senior servant Li's subordinate, and she was one of the saintess' few confidants in the dragon castle. Because they had informed her beforehand, Yun Ruoyan was sent to a relatively secluded location by herself. Without anyone watching, Yun Ruoyan searched the sacred palace by herself. Following the map that the saintess had drawn for her, she finally found the secret chamber that the demon spirit had mentioned to contain the holy water. Cho, are you ready? Yun Ruoyan looked around to make sure that no one was around, then called out to Cho and her bracelet. I'm ready. Leave it to me, no problem, Cho replied. Then, a beam of red light shot out from Yunruoyan's bracelet, and Chocho stood in front of Yunruoyan in its battle form. Yunruoyan took a step forward and pushed the stone door of the secret chamber open. A white array appeared, and a strong force pushed Yunruoyan back. Chocho immediately blocked Yunruoyan's back, dispersing the force of the array. Only then did Yunruoyan regain her footing. "What a powerful array," Yunruoyan murmured. "Chocho, I'll leave it to you." "Mistress, retreat." Chocho landed on its hind legs and rushed towards the magic circle. Its sharp claws pierced directly into the middle of the magic circle, and its strong body hit the magic circle. The entire restrictive magic formation trembled because of Chirp's simple attack. Along with the trembling of the restrictive magic formation, the entire holy hall also trembled. "Someone's destroying the array. Quick, report to the Great Elder." The captain of the guards arranged for someone to inform the Great Elder while leading the guards into the main hall. As for Yunruoyan, after destroying one restriction with Chocho, she quickly moved on to the next one and continued to destroy it in the same way. As a result, when the guards arrived at the first array that Chocho had destroyed, the entire sacred palace shook once more. "Not good, someone's intentionally destroying the array." The captain of the guards immediately split the guards into several groups and went to check out the area with the restriction, with Li Mo and 2 other guards accompanying him. "Over there." As soon as the 3 guards saw Yunruoyan and Chocho, Li Mo knocked one of them unconscious. The other guard was smacked to death by Chocho, who had suddenly pounced on him. Are you alright?" Li Mo walked up to Yunruoyan and asked. "I'm fine. There's only 2 more arrays left." Yunruoyan motioned for Chocho to continue destroying the array. "That's enough." Li Mo pulled Yunruoyan back. "I've already sent for the first elder, and he'll be here soon. Let's leave now." Li Mo took out the guard's uniform that he had prepared beforehand and put it on Yunruoyan. Chocho returned to the pocket dimension, and Li Mo brought Yunruoyan to the front hall of the palace, where all of the guards were gathered. "Captain, we haven't found anyone suspicious." "Captain, we haven't either." "None at all." Li Mo and Yunruoyan also returned to the group. Because all of the guards were wearing silver masks, no one noticed that Yunruoyan was among the many guards. Chapter 480. Have they already escaped? That's impossible. The captain muttered to himself, then looked around before pointing in Li Mo and Yunruoyan's direction. "Go out and stand guard. Don't let anyone get close or leave." Li Mo and Yunruoyan were just about to take the opportunity to leave when they heard the guard captain's words. They immediately nodded and left the hall. The first elder arrived almost as soon as the 2 of them left. 70 to 80% of the restrictions in the palace had been destroyed. In order to prevent anyone from destroying the palace at this time, the first elder had to immediately rearrange the ones that had been destroyed. Even for the first elder, it would take a lot of time for him to rearrange the restrictions one by one. The first elder sent people to continue to interrogate suspicious people in the Dragon Castle while he began to repair the restriction in the Sacred Hall. Before repairing the restrictions in the secret chamber where the holy water was stored, the first elder went in to investigate. Within a large, transparent container was a large amount of red liquid, which contained the blood extracted from Long Yin and the other bearers of the demonic dragon's bloodline. A tube extended from the top of the container, and there was a small hole at the end of the tube. A transparent liquid constantly flowed out of the tube, dripping into the container below it. That was the holy water. At the moment, there was still very little holy water in the container. The first elder of the silver dragon would periodically come to collect the essence of the demonic dragon's bloodline, which was known as the holy water. However, the amount of holy water that had been extracted so far wasn't enough for him. The first elder walked to the side of the large container, which was about half as tall as he was. Currently, it contained more than half of the liquid's blood, which would last for half a year. After half a year, the blood would be completely depleted, and a second blood sacrifice would be required. At the same time, the second blood array would be activated. A white sword aura appeared beneath the first elder's feet, lifting him up to the top of the container. With a light wave of his hand, the lid of the container slid open. The great elder made a cut on his hand, and his blood dripped from the cut into the container. The moment the silver dragon's blood came into contact with the mystic dragon's blood, a strange light rose from the boiling liquid, and even the speed at which the essence of the liquid dripped from the conduit increased. This was something that the first elder had discovered while researching how to refine the holy water. Although the silver dragon's blood didn't have the insane regenerative abilities of the demonic dragon's bloodline, it could stimulate the demonic dragon's bloodline and make it stronger. This was why he had asked Rong Yuashan to bring Li Yan here at all costs. He believed that, with both the demonic and silver dragon bloodlines, Li Yan's bloodline would be even stronger than before. The holy water refined by the silver dragon grand elder could only extend a person's lifespan. Only by constantly drinking the holy water could one extend their lifespan. Once they stopped drinking it, they would quickly age or even die. He had been working hard to refine a holy water that could grant immortality once and for all, and he believed that Li Yan had exactly what he wanted. However, that idiot Rong Yuashan had ruined everything. Not only had she lost her own life, but she had also made both Yun Ruoyan and Liemo wary of her. The first elder slowly landed on the ground and took out a talisman. The talisman floated into the air, and a figure appeared on it, the head of the Yuelu villa, Dong Tieha. Greetings, Great Elder. Dong Tieha bowed respectfully to the silver dragon Great Elder. How's the task that I entrusted you with? Yes, First Elder, Dong Tieha replied awkwardly. Dong Tieha looked troubled. Not only does that child have many guards by his side, but he's also accompanied by a very powerful snake. I haven't found a chance to capture him yet. A very powerful snake. The Great Elder asked doubtfully, what does it look like? It's snow white, covered in scales, and has 2 horns on its head. Dong Tia had described Whitey's current appearance to the First Elder, who couldn't help but frown. What Dong Tia had described was exactly what the silver dragon would look like when it was young. The silver dragons were the ancestors of the silver dragons. Like the demonic dragons, although they possessed the bloodline of a dragon, they didn't possess the body of a dragon. Only by cultivating in a certain way could they possess the body of a dragon. However, nothing was absolute. The Silver Dragon clan had 3 silver dragons that had been passed down since ancient times, and all of them had the body of a dragon. In the great battle 10,000 years ago, one of the silver dragons had been gravely injured by the demonic dragons and had fallen into a low-level realm, never to be found again. The other 2 silver dragons had also died in that battle. Could it be that this little silver dragon is a descendant of the silver dragon that fell onto the Qinyuan continent? The First Elder couldn't help but wonder. If that was the case, then not only would he have to obtain the infant, but he would also have to obtain the white snake that Dong Tieha had captured. I'll give you an item that can subdue that white snake. With a flip of his hand, the First Elder retrieved a crystalline bead that was even larger than his fist. He then chanted an incantation and tossed the bead toward the talisman. The bead passed through the talisman and landed in Dong Tieha's hand. I won't let you down, First Elder. Dong Tieha exclaimed excitedly as he felt the spiritual energy coursing through the bead. After Yun Ruoyan's rampage in the sacred palace, the entire dragon castle grew even more tense. Everyone was searching for suspicious individuals, but Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's identities were well documented, and there was no way to trace them back to them. The guards in the castle tightened, but the First Elder's surveillance of the Holy Maiden was lax. Everyone's attention was drawn to the wanton destruction of the sacred palace. As planned, Yunruoyan sent Yin Shao a letter signed by the Holy Maiden, inviting him to the outskirts of the castle for a stroll around Yinlong City. Yin Shao was very excited when he received the letter. He had coveted the Holy Maiden for many years, but had never even seen her face. She was under the First Elder's protection, so he didn't dare act rashly. He could only target her maidservants. What he hadn't expected was for the Holy Maiden to send him a letter of her own volition. On any other day, he wouldn't have dared to bring the Holy Maiden out of the castle, but his father, the First Elder of the Silver Dragons, had been so busy dealing with the destruction of the sacred palace that he hadn't had the time to deal with him. As a result, Yin Shao boldly accepted the Holy Maiden's invitation. The Holy Maiden told Yunruoyan that she had secretly snuck out of the castle because she couldn't bear it any longer. Yunruoyan asked how she had managed to do it, since the castle was still heavily guarded. Granny Li, the Holy Maiden said, Granny Li has been serving me since I became the Holy Maiden in the castle. Later, she was transferred to another place. She watched me grow up, and now she manages most of the maids in the castle. When the First Elder wasn't so strict with me, I could secretly go out with her every month or two. Can Granny Li be trusted? Yunruoyan asked. This time, you're not just going out to play. I trust her, the Holy Maiden said. Although the Holy Maiden said that she trusted Granny Li, Yunruoyan felt uneasy when she thought of the way Granny Li took the spirit stones from Huang Chuan's hand. She never believed that a greedy person could be so loyal. Therefore, at Yunruoyan's request, the Holy Maiden didn't tell the truth to Granny Li. She just let her go out of the castle on the pretext of playing as usual. The Holy Maiden followed Granny Li out of the central area very smoothly. When she walked out of the outermost area, she was interrogated. Take off your veil, the guard said. The Holy Maiden had always been wearing a veil because she had been washed and changed by someone, so even Yunruoyan hadn't seen her real appearance. My maid has caught a cold recently, so she can't be exposed to the wind. Please make an exception, Granny Li said with a smile. However, the guard was new and didn't listen to Granny Li at all. He insisted that the Holy Maiden take off her veil. Granny Li, forget it. I'll take off my veil. Seeing that the two sides were in a deadlock and time was precious, the Holy Maiden wanted to compromise. How can you do that? Granny Li disagreed. How could the Holy Maiden's face be seen by others at will? Even if she didn't go out this time, she couldn't take off her veil. Just when she was in a dilemma, Yin Shao appeared. He could freely enter and exit the entire dragon castle. With the supreme power of the First Elder, there was no place in the dragon castle or even the entire Silver Dragon City that he dared not go. Are you new here? Yin Shao strangled the guard's neck and said, You even dare to disrespect Granny Li. I think you're tired of living. Because of Yin Shao, the Holy Maiden came out of the dragon castle smoothly. Granny Li, go back, the Holy Maiden said to Granny Li, but Granny Li felt embarrassed and a little strange. Didn't the Holy Maiden hate Yin Shao very much? Why did she want to drive her away and be alone with Yin Shao now? What's wrong, Granny Li? Are you afraid that I will eat your Holy Maiden? Yin Shao said coldly. I don't dare. Granny Li said quickly, It's just that the Holy Maiden came out with me. If I can't take her back and something bad happens to her, I can't afford it even at the cost of my life. Granny Li ignored Yin Shao's threat and insisted. Seeing that, the Holy Maiden had to pull her aside and then took off her veil, revealing a beautiful but definitely not the face of the Holy Maiden. Who are you? Granny Li was shocked and was about to shout. Yunruoyan quickly covered her mouth and said, I'm Xiaoyun. Your Holy Maiden is staying in the Dragon Castle. Are you Xiaoyun? How could it be possible? Xiaoyun is so ugly. Granny Li looked at Yunruoyan's beautiful face and couldn't believe it. This is a fake face. I disguised myself. Yun Ruoyan patted her real face and said, I'm here to tease Yin Shao for the Holy Maiden. He always pesters the Holy Maiden and annoys her. Granny Li was finally fooled by Yun Ruoyan and left. After all, Granny Li just cared about the Holy Maiden. Since it was not the Holy Maiden who was with Yin Shao now, even if something bad happened, it didn't matter much. At most, she would find a personal maid for the Holy Maiden. Yun Ruoyan looked at the back of Granny Li who was walking away. She loosened her veil and then looked back at Yin Shao and said, Child Yin, I heard that there is a very beautiful place in the Dragon Castle. Would you like to go with me? Chapter 481. Just then, a gust of wind blew past, causing Yun Ruoyan's veil to fall off, revealing her beautiful face. Yin Shao couldn't help but stare in awe. Yun Ruoyan pretended to be flustered and hurriedly put her veil back on. Young Master Yin, the Holy Maiden's face can't be seen by just anyone. If the first elder finds out, he'll definitely punish me, Yun Ruoyan said pitifully. Holy Maiden, don't be afraid. I won't tell father about this, Yin Shao hurriedly said. Holy Maiden, where are you going? Let's go now. As a result, Yun Ruoyan brought Yin Shao to the location that they had discussed with the demon spirits, where they were currently lying in ambush. It was a lake outside Silver Dragon City, and it took the two of them less than half an incense stick's worth of time to arrive there on their flying swords. The lake was frozen, and all around it were trees with white flowers that Yun Ruoyan had never seen before. It was indeed a beautiful sight to behold. I didn't know that there was such a beautiful place outside of Silver Dragon City, Yin Shao smiled at Yun Ruoyan. Silver Hall smiled at Yun Ruoyan. Holy Maiden, you're always in the castle, so how did you know of such a place? I heard about it from someone, Yun Ruoyan replied coolly. She was currently gazing at the lake, her pure white dress complementing her figure. Behind her, Yin Shao couldn't help but want to step forward and embrace the woman he had been longing for so long. Oh, I'm rather curious. Who did you hear about it from? Yin Shao asked as he walked forward. Friends. What friends? Yin Shao appeared behind Yun Ruoyan and prepared to pounce on her. Yun Ruoyan turned around and dodged to the side. They're right here. Turn around and look. Holy Maiden, don't joke around. There's no one else here other than the two of us. As soon as Yin Shao finished speaking, he felt a few powerful auras appear behind him. He frowned and turned around. The first person he saw was a shorty. With the shorty as the center, a row of 5 or 6 people almost completely blocked his path of retreat. All of them had unkind smiles on their faces as they looked at Yin Shao as if he was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Holy Maiden, who are they? Yin Shao sensed danger, and he looked at Yun Ruoyan with suspicion and wariness. Yin Shao, I am not the saintess. Yun Ruoyan once again took out her veil. Her face was cold, because at this moment, she recalled the demonic dragon clansman and her father, Long Yin. Who are you? Who I am isn't important. We're here to kidnap you. As soon as Yun Ruoyan's voice fell, Yin Shao attacked. A similarly crimson spiritual sword appeared in his hand, and he stabbed toward Yun Ruoyan. His cultivation was clearly much higher than Yun Ruoyan's, and Yun Ruoyan felt a powerful aura assaulting her. A bestial roar suddenly rang out. Qiu opened its mouth wide and bit down on the crimson spiritual sword in Yin Zhao's hand. With a crunching sound, the spiritual sword was broken by Qiu's bite. How is this possible? Yin Shao was shocked. He had wanted to use Yun Ruoyan as a hostage, but he had been stopped by a powerful spiritual beast the moment he attacked. He immediately raised his sword and tried to escape. Brothers, take him down. At Huang Chuan's command, the members of the demon thief group stepped on their swords and charged at Yin Shao. Sword light splashed everywhere. After a fierce fight, Yin Xiao was finally captured by several people who were seriously injured. "Why didn't your lord come?" Yun Ruoyan asked Wang Chuan. "Such a small matter doesn't require our lord's presence." "We're more than enough," Wang Chuan replied. "In that case, please tell your lord to proceed according to plan. Nothing must go wrong." Yun Ruoyan glanced coolly at the bound Yin Xiao before flying away. A group of guards suddenly barged into the Holy Maiden's quarters. "What do you want?" the Holy Maiden shouted. "Holy Maiden, we were ordered by the First Elder to search for the culprit." "Please cooperate," the guard captain said. "How could there be someone who destroyed the holy temple here? You guys are too ridiculous." The saintess looked angry. In the entire dragon castle, other than the Great Elder, there was only the saintess. But now that the First Elder had given the order, the guards had nothing to worry about. "Stop the Holy Maiden. The rest of you, follow me and search," the guard captain said. More than a dozen guards searched the inside and outside of the sleeping quarters, but they did not find a single suspicious person. "Wait and see. I'll report to the First Elder for offending you," the Holy Maiden said. "Holy Maiden, don't you have a personal maid with you?" "Why didn't I see her today?" the guard captain suddenly asked. "I sent her out to buy things with Granny Lee. She should be back soon." "What's wrong?" "Anyone who leaves here today is a suspect," the guard captain said. After that, he ordered his subordinates, "Go to the city gate and wait for the maid. Immediately capture her and interrogate her." Just then, Yun Ruoyan walked in from outside. In her hands were many trinkets sold in the Silver Dragon City. "Holy Maiden." Yun Ruoyan had returned to her ugly appearance. She looked at the people in the room with a shocked expression. "What happened?" "This is my maid," the Holy Maiden pointed at Yun Ruoyan. The saintess pointed at Yun Ruoyan and said, "She just left in the morning and is back now." "Is there a problem?" They had originally come to the Holy Maiden's quarters as a matter of routine. When they saw that Yun Ruoyan was missing, they began to suspect her. But now that she had appeared again, there was no longer any suspicion. After asking about Yun Ruoyan's situation, the guard captain left with his men. "How did it go?" the Holy Maiden asked Yun Ruoyan hurriedly. "Yin Xiao has been caught, and we're just waiting for the First Elder to take the bait." Yun Ruoyan laughed softly. Li Mo had been paying close attention to the situation in the Holy Palace these past few days. Originally, he had planned to leave the city with Yun Ruoyan to deal with Yin Xiao, but the First Elder of the Silver Dragon City hadn't come out since he entered the Holy Palace. After some discussion, Li Mo continued to monitor the First Elder's movements as a temple guard. At night, Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo met up and told each other about their respective situations. Yin Xiao had been successfully captured. As for the First Elder's continued absence from the Holy Palace, both of them were worried that he would harm Long Yin. However, they couldn't barge in under the watchful eyes of so many people. Don't worry too much. When the demonic spirit delivers the letter, we'll be able to force the First Elder out," Li Mo comforted Yun Ruoyan. "If everything goes smoothly, the letter should arrive tomorrow," Yun Ruoyan replied. "Tomorrow, I'll infiltrate the temple guards with you." The next day, Yun Ruoyan infiltrated the temple guards and monitored the situation with Li Mo. Within the temple, the First Elder was setting up a complicated teleportation array. After many days of waiting, he had finally received good news from Dong Tiehe. Dong Tiehe had used the dragon pearl that the First Elder had given him to subdue Whitey and capture Li Yan. The array that the First Elder was setting up was to bring Whitey and Li Yan back from the Qinyuan continent. "Once I'm done setting up the array, you'll have to listen to my orders." The Great Elder spoke to a talisman floating in the air. On the talisman was Dong Tiehe's image. He was currently holding Li Yan in his arms, and in his palm was a dragon bowl. Within the dragon ball was a small white snake. That was Whitey. As you command, First Elder. Dong Tieha replied excitedly. He had always wanted to go to a high-tier continent, and now, he would finally be able to do so. Once the First Elder was done setting up the array, he taught Dong Tieha an incantation. As he chanted the incantation, a teleportation array lit up beneath his feet. His entire figure gradually disappeared into the spell formation. When he opened his eyes again, he was in the middle of the sacred palace. Greetings, First Elder. Dong Tieha bowed toward the First Elder. That's Yun Ruoyan and Li Mo's child? The First Elder, who had always concealed his emotions, couldn't help but grow excited. Yes, he is. Dong Tieha handed Li Yan to the First Elder, who held it in his arms. At the same time, he extended his other hand toward Dong Tieha. Without warning, an icicle pierced through Dong Tieha's chest. Why? Dong Tieha looked at the icicle in his chest and asked in confusion and unwillingness. Because you've accomplished your mission. You can disappear now, the First Elder's cold voice rang out. Dong Tieha spat out a mouthful of blood and collapsed to the ground. His eyes were wide open, and he couldn't breathe. The First Elder looked at the child in his arms, a strange smile appearing on his cold, rigid face. Just then, Li Yan, who had been unconscious all this time, suddenly opened his eyes and let out a cry that he had never heard before. Yun Ruoyan, who was outside the sacred palace, suddenly felt a sharp pain in her heart. She clutched her chest tightly. Li Mo could tell that Yun Ruoyan was acting strangely and whispered, "What's wrong?" "I don't know what's wrong, but I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my chest. I think I heard Li Yan crying." "Did you hear it?" Li Mo shook his head, his brows furrowed. Although he wasn't as sensitive as Yun Ruoyan to sense Li Yan's danger, his heart was still flustered. Li Mo knew that this was a bloodline connection. Just then, someone delivered a letter. The messenger whispered a few words into the guard's ear, and the guard's expression immediately changed. He immediately took the letter and entered the sacred palace. "It looks like the demonic spirit's letter has arrived." Yun Ruoyan continued clutching her chest, the pain still lingering. "Yes." Li Mo temporarily suppressed his worries and waited for the situation to unfold in the sacred palace. Inside the sacred palace, the First Elder had already opened the secret passage to the blood array. He was prepared to place Li Yan in and make him the core of the array. Just then, the guard captain's voice came from outside. "First Elder, I have something urgent to report. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."